Hey everybody, this is Craig Garber. Welcome to Everyone Loves Guitar, and we're real lucky today. We got a great guest. This is one of the most requested guests we have. He's got one day off in October, and he, for some reason, decided to spend it with me. I'm not really sure of his logic or common sense behind that, but I'm very grateful for it. We're with the one and only Brent Mason, and quick shout out to John Carroll for making this happen. Yeah. We appreciate it, John. And just a quick reminder, don't forget, subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen to podcasts, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Let me give you a little background on Brent, and then we'll get into it. He's also not only the most popular session players, he's one of the most interviewed men, so I've got to really go out of my way to make sure I don't waste his time asking him questions he's been asked a million times. All righty, Brent Mason, one of the most recorded guitarists in history. His impact on the Nashville sound cannot be overstated. His guitar work helped define the works of some of the greatest country music artists of all time. He's a Grammy Award winner, a 12-time winner of the ACM Academy of Country Music Guitarist of the Year Award. I'm going to say that again, a 12-time winner. How do you win 12 of anything, dude? That's amazing. Man, congrats. 10 times Music Row Session Guitarist of the Year, and 2 times winner of the CMA Award Musician of the Year.
Yeah, bingo champion of the world.
That's right, bingo champion of the
world. Is that in there? No.
Yeah. Did you feel like when they gave you the CMA twice, did you feel like saying, look, man, I got 12 times ACM. You guys need to step it up? You only gave
well, the funny thing about that, Mark O'Connor was getting them all every year. And he must have got tired of getting them because he bowed out of it. And that's when I won the first one.
There you go, man.
You know, when he bowed out, I guess he was just like, I don't need any more of these. Well, or he was moving on for his own benefit, or he moved to New York or whatever. But whoops, I lost you.
There you go.
Escape. There you go.
He's been named as one of the top 10 session guitarists of all time, joining the ranks of Jimmy Page, Larry Carlton, Tommy Tedesco, and Steve Cropper. He's played on over 1,000 albums and continues to add to this extensive resume. This is mind-blowing. To date, he's played on almost 1,800. Dude, you must be good at math. You're counting because you 1,782, not 1,781.
What?
Not that's what it says here. Somebody wrote
this. My wife
this.
figured that one out.
Yeah, it says, it doesn't say 1,781 or 1,783. It says 1,782 top 10 hit singles. That is nuts. He's also released two. Yeah, that's pretty impressive, man. He's also released 2 of his own albums, produced a number of artists, and he holds several credits as a songwriter. He was also just inducted into the Musicians Hall of Fame this month. Congratulations.
Not yet.
Not yet?
This coming next week.
Next week? Awesome. Congratulations, man. Brent was born in Van Wert, Ohio. At 5, he taught himself to play guitar by ear. He moved to Nashville after graduating from high school in order to pursue a career in country music. Early Nashville gigs included a stint with the Don Kelly Band, which is, if you don't know the story about Don Kelly, he's kind of very well known for finding really great guitarists and, you know, kind of jump-starting their careers.
Right.
Eventually, he was discovered by Chet Atkins, Brent, not Don Kelly, who invited him to play on his Stay Tuned album. He was signed to Mercury Records in '97, released an instrumental album called Hot Wired, which, just to let you know, man, I can't tell you how many guys I've had on this show, and they say, I warm up to a lot of the songs. I mean, they warm up to a lot of the songs on Hot Wired. And Brent and his brother Randy released a second album entitled Smokin' Section in 2006. Brent's collaborated with online education site jamplay.com to put together a series of lessons for aspiring guitarists. From 2003 to 2010, Valley Arts Guitar, which was a great guitar company, joined with Brent to create and manufacture the Valley Arts Brent Mason signature guitar. In 2012, Brent joined forces with PRS to help create the Brent Mason signature PRS guitar. In addition, he's been affiliated with Wampler pedals for years, and his hot wired Brent Mason pedal is one of their best-selling products. I have one right down there. It's an amazing pedal.
Right.
Very cool, man.
Thank you. Plus, to interject there,
man,
for a second here, Fender is there'll be something next year with Fender.
Amp or guitar?
With my guitar.
Awesome. About time. That's all I got to say.
That's all I'm saying right now.
Yeah, man.
It's I've just signed a deal with them for a guitar thing, but there'll be more about it, coming up this end of this year. NAMM showtime.
That's awesome, man. Very cool.
Yeah, I'm excited about it.
Long time coming, well deserved.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, man. He also has a signature amp with vintage sound amplifiers, and believe it or not, you can get personal and private lessons from Brent via Skype. I'm going to give you like a very, very small sample of artists whose albums Brent has played on. This is like a pimple on the elephant's ass. This is really small. I mean, we'd be here for an hour just reading this. Toby Keith, Aaron Lewis, Reba McEntire, Allison Krauss, Blake Shelton, Alan Jackson, Kenny Rogers, Darius Rucker, Asleep at the Wheel, great band, Alabama, Trisha Yearwood, George Jones, Trace Atkins, Jamey Johnson, Martina McBride, Dolly Parton, Amy Grant, Johnny Mathis, Terry Clark, Ann Murray, Tim McGraw, Brad Paisley, Willie Nelson, Billy Ray Cyrus, Randy Travis, Glen Campbell, Muriel Anderson. I had Muriel on this show. What a nice woman she is, man.
Yeah.
Really sweet lady. Nancy Sinatra, Vince Gill, Steve Warner. I had him on here too. Ricky Skaggs, Neil Diamond, Marty Stuart, and literally the list goes on and on. Man, thank you so much for your time, Brent. I really appreciate you coming on the show.
Yeah, good to be here, Craig.
5. You started playing at 5. That's young, man. How did that come about?
Well, there was guitars around my house. You know, my mom and dad played. Dad played guitar. Mom did too.
Oh, wow.
But of course, they were always laying on the couch or something. You know, so I grabbed one. I think at 5, I didn't really. I was just taking an interest in them. So I kind of grabbed one. We had all kinds of eclectic music in the house, albums, you know. We had one album, Ray Charles. They had the country music, Ray Charles, which was a great album. And I remember picking up a guitar and just picking up a table knife and playing slide on it, you know, because I wanted to join in, you know, with the music and stuff. Had no idea about chords or anything. So, you know, 5 is when I actually physically got a hold of one and showed interest in it. About 7 or 8, you know, Dad had showed me chords, and I started playing, you know, chords and stuff at that age.
Was your dad a professional or hobbyist or weekend guy or?
Weekend warrior. Mom and Dad, they had bands that they played on Friday and Saturday night, and kind of in the tri-state area. It was Michigan, Indiana, Ohio there, and that kept them young and vibrant. You know, they loved music and got to play it on the weekends. Dad was a factory worker in Fort Wayne, Indiana. He worked at the International Harvester, and Mom was just a homemade, you know, at home.
Sure.
With lots of stuff to do, taking care of us kids. But on the weekends, man, they, you know, spiffed all up with makeup and, you know, silk shirts and stuff. And went out and played the you know, like the Eagles Lodge and Moose Lodge, all your animal lodges.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
Moose, Eagles, elks, or whatever, you know. The Midwest is all about that, right?
Yeah, sure, man. Absolutely. So that's cool. You had a musical family. So you graduated high school and you like went right away to Nashville. So what prompted you to move there, and how'd you first get work once you got to town? And if there was one, what was your first like big break or significant break?
Well, first of all, I worked when I got out of school. I worked in a factory for a while, a toolbox factory, and it was like very depressing. You know, I was making toolbox. I riveted my thumb to a toolbox, you know, nice. And had to, you know, go to first aid. I remember working with a guy next to me. The got his fingers cut off by one of those steel presses,
Holy
and
smokes.
Dropped off. His fingers fell in a metal scrap box on the other side. Supposed to have straps on. Then I said, you know, maybe this isn't for me.
Yeah.
I don't know. But, you know, after that, I just, you know, made my leap of faith and went straight to Nashville, and just, you know, I had a connection there with Paul Franklin, who was a steel player.
Sure.
We had corresponded with him. I can't remember exactly how I got his name, but somehow I got an address to where I sent a tape to him of some of my playing instrumentals, and he heard it, and I guess he fell in love with it. He was playing it on a tour bus when they went out. I think he was out with Mel Tillis and the Statesiders, and they said they listened to it, you know, enjoyed my playing. They'd stick that tape in. And he invited me to Nashville, so I thought, well, there's my in. I'm going to head to Nashville and see what I can do there.
That was really cool.
Yeah.
So once you came to town, did Paul help you get work?
Yeah, he did. Paul Franklin, first of all, when I got there, he was kind of like inviting me to recording sessions. So I really got to see some some of my guys that I saw credits on albums were playing on stuff like Larry London and David, not David Hungate yet, but I don't even think he was here but at that time. He was still in L.A., but bass player. Guys like Fred Newell, guitar player, was playing on a lot of records like Alabama and stuff like that. Got to watch those guys work in the studio, Pete Wade and all those guys, Reggie Young. And
I had Reggie on here before he passed, man. That was a real good opportunity.
One of my favorites, Reggie Young. Just
real sweet human being.
Sure was. Humble guy, too. Anyway, so I went to a few sessions, and then Paul had a brother-in-law, Greg Galbraith, who was a guitar player. He played. He was a prominent session player at the time. Played on a lot of records. He played with Bill Anderson, an opera star, who had a great writer who had a lot of hits and had a big career in the 60s and stuff. And Greg's hooked me into a gig, Greg Galbraith, and David Byrd, who was also a piano player, popular piano player at the time, hooked me into this gig, Stagecoach Lounge, which is a honky-tonk in Nashville, Don Kelly band. So I was, early 20s, maybe 21 or something, and I, kind of learned the ropes there.
Yeah.
So, thanks to them, they got me a little audition. I think I showed up and played, set in, and got a call the next day. Said, "You're hired if you want it." I go, "Yeah, I'll take it." I was looking for a gig. I just moved here.
Yeah.
So,
and that was like 6 or 7 nights a week they played, didn't they?
Yeah, it was like 6, sometimes 7. The 10 p.m. to 1 p.m., 2 p.m.
Right.
That's the life that I was, the nocturnal musician life. Sleep till noon, playing. But, so I was, quite a few years there, at least 6 or 7.
Oh, wow. That's a long
time, man.
Yeah, man. That's a really long, it's longer than most guys stay.
Don Kelly is still doing it on Broadway.
Yeah, but that's longer than most guys stay.
It is. It is. I mean, I did that till I got, was able to, I thought, I need to wake up earlier in the morning and get some, maybe get some connections and get things done. Yeah. Sleep until noon. I used to laugh. There was a bass player, Rocky Thacker, who played bass there. And this is how lazy we were, because we played all night, maybe even jammed at an after-hours club afterwards, and then get home at 3 in the morning and sleep till 1. Because I remember this, again, bass player Rocky Thacker, I'd call him up, I'd go, "Rocky, you want to play some tennis today or something?" He goes, "Oh, no, man, I got to put strings on." Put strings on? That takes up the whole day? You like that? Yeah, that took up the whole day. I said, "Come on, man. I gotta stock at Burger King and get my lunch and then put strings on. That pretty much is it for the day."
Oh, my God.
That's how lazy we were. I kind of knew what he was talking about.
That's funny, man.
Yeah.
So what happened from there? People saw you playing and then started inviting you on sessions, I would imagine, is what happened?
Well, it was kind of like the musicians band,
Yeah.
They'd heard about us playing because there was Paul Cook playing drums, who played with Jerry Reed. He was real funky and soulful, funky drummer, who was also on some Reed albums like Half and Half. And, Don was playing bass, and he would do some funky things. Besides Merle Haggard and stuff, that he would also do some Delbert Clinton or funk things. And, it was a good band. Don had some fun songs. The musicians would show up. They heard about us. They heard about me, I guess. And finally, the Chet Atkins had heard about it, and the word got around. So Chet came out and brought guitarists who kind of drifted in Nashville, like Neil Sean even, George Benson. He brought George Benson in.
That's
it was
wild.
It's like you never know who you would see. Then he'd bring, some, guys who were already in Nashville, like Ray Flack. I was a big fan of Ray Flack, who played with Ricky Skaggs, a British guy that just was, I enjoyed his playing. He brought in, just guys like that. Martin Offer.
Wow.
Came, at the time. And so, then Chet called me to play on this album it was a bunch of those guitar players I just mentioned that did a compilation album with Chet called Stay Tuned. It was 1987, I think it was. And when he called me, I was in my duplex on the wall phone. I picked it up. My calendar was, stapled up to the wall or whatever, pinned up to the wall. And he said, "Can you come and play on my album next Thursday?" And I was trying to cool, I looked at my calendar. It looked like a snowstorm. I said, "Next Thursday?" Yeah, I can do
that
next
was
Thursday.
Slick.
Or Wednesday. If that didn't work, Friday's pretty good. So, I tried to act cool as long as I could, but it was Chet Atkins. And so I, got to play on this album that sort of got me, parlayed me into other things.
And then from there, it just grew.
Right.
That's really cool, man. When you were going through that, were you able to sort of stop and smell the rose? Because I know your work ethic is like very strong, and when you tend to be like that, because I'm like that, it is not natural for you to stop and smell the roses. It's more like, okay, let me get this.
It was like a racehorse. Coming out of the gates, blinders on, and I was talking to my wife the other day, was playing through, I'd have to play through anniversaries and birthdays, parties, and, it's just, especially doing sessions, you never know when the next session is going to get called for. Hey, 3 days, next week. You got it? We're trying to get something in the studio. Yeah, man, I can do it. That's my anniversary. Oh, well, we'll book something after that. I'll take you to the restaurant next week. So it was always like, and also too, when you book something, you might get sick. Yeah. And to call the morning of is a traumatic thing for the person doing the record. The guitar player's not going to make it today, so you got to find a sub, or you just go in sick and do it. It's not like you can call and work. I'm sure that's the same on a lot of jobs, but a lot of jobs, just you won't be there today. Oh, that's cool. Just come tomorrow.
It's not a job you have. You're self-employed. You're running your own business. It's different.
Yeah, that's right. So, I guess that's more correlated with, self-employment. Yeah. You're everything. The productivity all is in your hands. Literally, whatever. But that's the way it was. So, I was going strong through the '90s. I mean, just plowing, just booking albums back to back. Yeah. And got tired.
Are you okay now? What do you do? Yeah. What do you like? You more balanced now?
Yeah. That's cool. More balanced. I mean, you got to take in mind back then, this was pre digital recording. Sure. This is analog recording. Nobody could do their records in their house. Unless they had a big tape machine over here. So studios were really thriving too, because you had to book big studios to do your records. You just couldn't. Yeah. Now you can just do them in your, compact digital Pro Tools or whatever, Innuendo or whatever. Back then it was like, everything was going strong. Yeah, totally. Studios, sessions. Also too, like guys in bands now, you got time to work on your thing. You can move it around and tune it up, and and camp out with it and stuff. And so there was everything back then that you had to go in the studio. The studio would cut the tracks, and then the next room was an overdub place for vocals or additional instrument overdubs or whatever. So they were all thriving. So they kind of got hurt in the process of the evolution of digital recording and everything, because everything was so compact, and you could do this at your home. Now you can do all your vocals with a great preamp and a Pro Tool setup or something. Yeah, man. But we still, Go ahead.
No, you go.
Go ahead. Oh, I was just going to say, now, I mean, studios are still going here. There's still great studios like Blackbird and Ocean Way. And, there's still some big cutting rooms that are working all the time. But, I mean, it put a lot of studios out of business. They're either selling out now or, they're putting condos in Music Row and tearing down the other studios. I used to work at them going, oh, man, this is hurtful. This is depressing. The place we cut so many records over there is just a rubble pile of stones now. And where they tore it down, they're going to put up a hotel or something now, or condos mainly.
Yeah. I was there earlier this month, and it's like Orlando was 15, 20 years ago. It's kind of like you can't move. There's so much traffic. It's bad, man. Cranes all over.
Oh, the traffic is ridiculous now. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, man. Hey, this is funny. I've talked to loads of guys that have been on the show. Some names that I know come to mind: Johnny Highland, younger guy, Chuck Ward. I don't know if you know him.
Chuck, yeah.
Yeah, he's kind of got like similar background
to
you.
I got Chucky's gig with Aaron Lewis.
Oh, you have a similar. He has a similar background. He Midwest. Dad played guitar. He was a younger kid. Started play. Yeah, you got very. In fact, Dad was a factory guy. That very blue collar sort of. Very similar background. Yeah. But when these guys came to town, and there's a number of other ones, to a man, they went and saw you play, and they said, man, they really considered not playing anymore because And I remember Johnny Highland telling me the story. He said, I used to go in with a little tape recorder in my shirt pocket and then record Brent what he was doing, because I knew I would never, if I couldn't do that, I wasn't going to make it in here. So my question is, was there a guy like that for you when you came to town that was really intimidating?
Yeah, there was a couple, well, first of all, when you come to Nashville, all the best guitar players in their hometowns come here. Yeah. Right? Yes. So, you might have been, like, oh, you need to go to Nashville, Sonny, and be there. You're so good. Nobody can play with you here. But when you go to Nashville, you realize you're meeting your match there. So when I came, there was a guitar player, Sid Hudson, who passed away of cancer, God rest his soul, who was just playing, great cover tunes or country, and then play jazz and burn it up, and then play, just chops were amazing. Oh my God, this guy's, But it didn't scare me. I just knew that I'm gonna have to get my ass in gear and play here. I'm gonna have to woodshed. There's some competition here. It just made me have to work harder. There's a guy, Stan Lassiter, who was just like almost like Al Di Meola or something. Just playing. He had that speed and the McLaughlin, John McLaughlin speed. And, I was like, wow. And he was that, he was playing. But he'd also play tasteful too, and I thought. But they weren't, Sid, they weren't quite session players. They were just out playing around town. It was like really, high mark there. It was like, wow, I need to practice. I can't just slouch here. So it just made me work harder. But I can't say that it made me want to quit. It just gave me a little more fire. I just knew that I had, this is another level here that I got to reach.
So you were pretty confident, and I say that in a real, not like cocky, as a compliment. Have you inherently usually been like that? Like, where did that come from? Because everybody's not like that, as you know.
As far as being,
well, like when you were confident when you saw this, your mindset was, man, let me get on this. It wasn't like, shit, I shouldn't do this. It was, you know what I mean? Yeah. It was like, I've got the ability. Let me just turn up the fire.
Right. Well, I just loved music so much. I mean, I knew that was what I was best at. But I mean, there's been times where I was intimidated. I think that more when I got into the studio and had to learn the studio to be savvy in there and how to do it. That was daunting for me. Just to work with people like, Larry London and David Huntgate, who, they had their discography was like endless. And some of the records I heard when I was at home as a kid. So when I got in the studio and I was sitting in that chair, I had this thing where they were all thinking, in my mind, I perceived them as judging me, but they were nice. But this is all in my paranoia.
Yeah.
Hey, we heard about this kid. Let's see what he can do.
The little voice on the shoulder, man.
Yeah. And I'm thinking, if I suck on this session, that could be it for me. I don't have to burn and play fast. That's not what this is about. It's not about me on the session. It's about making this record sound good and knowing what to play. And there was a lot of guys here that could do that and had done it, had a long history of that, and I was just new, and I thought it's that whole fear of just proving yourself right away.
Yeah, sure.
You only got one chance. In my mind, I was thinking, I only got one chance to do it. If I just terribly, he wasn't that good. He just needs to learn a little bit more. We can't call him anymore. It was terrifying for me.
Yeah.
I would lose. I think I was only down to about 125 pounds or something.
Wow.
I couldn't eat. So.
Yeah. So there you go.
It happened at that level. I mean, it happened at that part of my life, when I started getting in the studio. As far as just going out and jamming in bands and stuff or playing, I was working hard, and it was just making me a better player.
Right.
But the studio thing was a whole different mindset.
Did someone take you under their wing, or was there somebody or a couple of people maybe that you went to sort of help mentor you along the way? Or did you just...
Yeah, but just at the beginning, when I came here, Don Kelly was, I think I had a Hagstrom Swede guitar.
Did you really? Wow.
Yeah, my dad told me that. It's like, you wouldn't, I don't know how many, who had one of those? Bob Seger, I think, right?
I don't know, but now that's like a metal guitar.
It is. It was a great guitar.
Yeah. I didn't even know they were around.
I know. Well, who would have? But Don Kelly said, you're in Nashville. You need to buy a Telecaster or a Strat, I said, yeah, I know. So, he went out and bought some. But, Don was telling me, he said, and I was even playing jazz in the middle of country songs.
Yeah.
Because I thought that's what everybody was doing when I was back home. Buddy Emmons.
Right.
Hank Garland, was the jazzer by night. He was one of the best, still one of the best. And I thought, they all love to play jazz. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to play jazz in the middle of a, good-hearted woman. I was going to play. And Don goes, don't do that. Your phone won't ring. And I said, oh, man. And I already knew how to play country because I was doing, Merle Haggard stuff and Buck Owens and Don Rich kind of stuff. And Don goes, yeah, play that. That's what's going to make your phone ring, And I said, oh, okay. I thought everybody, was jazzers here, So when I learned, so Don taught me a lot about the ropes here, about, what to do here. That was the beginning. And then, later on, Paul Franklin, was a great mentor for me and taught me a lot and had some wise information for me to help me along.
With respect to Chet, when you, through your relationship with him, what would be your 2 or 3 biggest takeaways from that? It doesn't have to be, could be music, business, life, whatever, performance, whatever.
By working with Chet?
Yeah.
Well, Chet was a real deep thinker, a profound thinker. Just for the fact that back then he was like Mr. Nashville. He was producing records like the Everly Brothers, Jerry Reed, Brenda Lee. I learned a lot just by sitting with him and watching him work. He had developed sounds for each artist. He knew how to record. Like with the Everly Brothers, they were all about their acoustics, strumming and recording Elvis or something might be a different sound. I know on certain songs that he might not have wanted to use a kick drum with Jerry Reed because Jerry Reed had a thumping bass thumb style going. And sometimes the kick would outdo that. So I learned a lot about how he made records and stuff. Not just being one of the greatest guitar players, and he was the Nashville sound. He was developing the Nashville sound. So he had a good business sense about it. He was I looked at him like he was a professor, which to me he was.
Yeah.
So I learned a lot about just not, hey, like, I'm just gonna play my guitar and wake up and play guitar, and there's nothing else. There was more to this. It's a business.
Yes. Yeah. I've talked to a couple of guys, excuse me, that have worked with him. Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say too, in addition to that, and I'll let you, he was great about helping young guitarists. Like, he did that to me.
Yeah.
So I kind of took, I kind of took that on myself. Was help, some of these guys you're talking about, I help them out a little bit. I saw some great players with potential.
Yeah.
And that's another aspect of the Chet Atkins relationship.
Paying it forward, basically.
Yeah.
That's really cool. But Nashville's one of the few places, I think, where by and large there's a lot of that, or appears to be. I'm not in this scene, but it really appears to be a great, very warm, supportive community there.
It really is. Yeah, it's a tight community. I mean, there's competition there because it's if you're playing downtown in some of these like Tootsies and stuff like that, there's if you fail at something or you're late, there's about 20 other guitar players lined up ready to do it. You know what I mean? Yeah. But for the most part, everybody's real. It's a very friendly town, and that's what everything's built on. I mean, you can be the greatest guitar player, and if you're an a-hole, you might as well go back. You're not going to get anywhere. You got to be a good listener, and everybody's friendly and warm. And there is things about the South that that whole thing. Yeah, come on in, eat supper with us.
Yeah.
Well, you sure? I won't be putting you out. No, come on in.
Yeah.
That's the way they are here,
Yeah.
Come on over to the house. We'll get out the guitars and play too. We're going to have a good dinner. And then, I was like, okay.
It is true, man.
So there's a lot of that, that Southern hospitality, right?
For sure, man.
Yeah.
What I'm getting out of you from what you said earlier, the primary attraction to you playing sessions versus either having your own band or touring with an artist was the stability of the schedule, to not be out all night or not be away. Was that the thing? Because you could have done whatever you wanted.
Well, I just never really was excited about going out on the road, and that's primarily what people do, what artists do, and band members do. They're out in a tour bus most of the time.
Yes.
So, I mean, if you're married and you have kids, you don't really get to see them much. You're out on a bus and you sort of get acclimated to that traveling, like Willie Nelson, on the road again. That's where my family,
Yeah.
It's like, that's where everything to him is that's like his family, his road crew and stuff like that. I was more like, I want to go home,
Yeah.
Especially when I got in the studio. I didn't have to do a lot of road work. And I really didn't want to. So, but luckily I was in Nashville and went to the club and played, and I went from the club to signed as a songwriter, and then that parlayed into session playing.
Yeah.
And I never really had to travel much. I went on the road a couple times, but I was like, all right, I'm ready to go home now.
Right.
I'm tired of sleeping in the bunk in the bus.
Sure.
So, and that's primarily what it is. Most of the time you're a road musician. That's pretty much your start at first anyway in Nashville.
For sure.
And yeah, so
you talked about
that answers the question. I don't know. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, totally, man. Yeah, 100%. Don't worry.
I got off there.
No, you're all good. Just be you, man. It's all great.
I'm on the road again. Just can't wait to get on back home again. How
about this? If you want to perform, get your guitar, Brent. Nothing against your singing, but if you want to I want to hear guitar.
Yeah, but I am into performing now.
Yeah.
I got time. I like to do my own music, play it out. But I don't do it on a daily. I don't do it nightly. I don't have a residency gig or anything like that. But I do like to get out and play clinics or whatever. Now that I have time.
Should we pitch a residency gig for you on this show? Somebody.
Yeah, I'm here.
Here's here.
Okay.
Brent Mason residency.
8 days in, right? Is there allowed now?
On your first album, on Hot Wired, man, you have a really pretty acoustic song called "My Little Ballerina," and I was just curious who you wrote that for.
That was written for my daughter at the time. She's 27 now, but she was in a ballerina class, and when she was in elementary school. And I was just, I thought it was cute, and I wrote this song, and it was kind of like, it inspired me to write the little ballerina and stuff, and so I cut it on the Hot Wired album. But that was, I was trying to think of her. Yeah, she was just in elementary school, but it was a special song. Also special because it was written for my daughter, but it was a song that Chet Atkins played on, right?
Oh, okay.
Off the album. And he played a beautiful part on it. And this was not long after that, he passed away. And I remember at the Opry, I saw him. He goes, that song's the last song I was able to play on.
Wow.
And I thought, wow, it really was special to me.
Yeah.
And then the whole kind of irony of it was when he asked me to play on his album, that was the first song I played on. So,
So like the mantle was, that's kind of cool, man.
I never thought about that. And then I went, wow, that's very ironic and special.
Yeah, really special.
Special things about that song. And so, yeah.
It's a beautiful song, man.
Thank you.
You mentioned a few minutes ago about playing jazz. I had a question. What do you is that what you intrinsically love to play? Because if you listen to Hot Wired and Smoking Section, the overall theme or the leanings is definitely jazz leanings. So are you a jazz? I mean, like, is that what you really like? If left to your own devices, man, you want to go up and play jazz?
I think so. But I mean, there's always that thing when you're up on stage, like. It's like this is the session chameleon guy that I am.
Right.
But when you're out there and everybody's rocking, then you want to play loud and scream but there's always a little jazz involved. Now when I go into a jazz club or something and I see Miles Davis videos up in the corner, it makes me want to just play some bebop. Right. So it's just like it's environmental for me. But I tell you what, when I'm at home and I'm really exercising my chops and my brain. I'm playing through changes and jazz. Just even though tomorrow I'm not going to play any of that at all.
Sure, but that's what you like. That's what.
Yeah, that's what I like. I do like
flips
that.
Your switch. Yeah, you could tell me because that's.
When I was a kid, I listened to Pat Martino religiously. I mean, it started out with Jerry Reed, but when I went into jazz, it was Pat Martino. George Benson and, Wes Montgomery and stuff, Hank Garland, who, again, he was a recording guitarist and a great jazz player. He put on different hats and I admired that.
You happen to know Jim Oblon?
No, I don't know him. I mean, I've heard...
A great player in Nashville. He did something with Hank Garland's family or something. Great. He's a real good player, man. He's jazz, everything. He's a great tone. He's pretty hot.
What was the last name?
Jim Oblon, Oblon. He's got a bunch
I've heard that name mentioned. Now I might be embarrassed if I've met him and I'm really bad with names.
Yeah. No, I'm sure you've seen him around. The older I get, the more
I'm forgetting. But it's sometimes it's such a stigma that I hate to go out to like BMI awards. I see people I think I should know.
Right.
And I go, hey man, it's that shock. It's that shock of first seeing them in your face and they go, I don't know, I forgot your name, and you don't want to say that because they go, hey Brad, hey, how you been? Hey, man. See, but my wife is, she has a photographic memory and it's kind of fading a bit, no pun. She always go, that's blah, 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 and I went, so I'm always hanging on her at the park. Hey, honey, come here. I want to introduce you to, this is my wife. Hopefully she's going to fill in the blanks here while we're doing it. Yeah, that's John, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, John, this is my wife. Oh, thanks. You pull, so if I piss her off, she'll go, you're on your own on this one.
Yeah, right.
So I got to be nice to my wife when I go out to these parties. But I did see Sting on was that maybe Oprah one when she goes, Oprah says, I see your wife everywhere you go, and that's really sweet. That's cool. He goes, well, he goes, well, that's because she knows everybody's name. She reminds me and I go, that's me.
Yeah,
that's cool. Well, Sting and I share the same.
There you go.
Dilemma. Yeah,
it's hard to remember. It's hard to remember everybody's. I'm really good with faces. I'll never forget a face. And an exchange, like I'll never forget how I feel about somebody, but I don't always remember names either,
Yeah, so I don't feel so bad. The faces, you're right. I'm a visual person.
Yeah.
So.
Hey, let me ask you about some of the artists you've worked with. Talk about how you got the gig and maybe a cool or interesting story about any one of your experiences with them, because I know you've worked with a bunch of them many times. Vince Gill. Start with Vince.
Well, Vince, when I first got my recording, I was starting to play on records and stuff. I think Tony Brown brought me in to play on a Vince record, and I knew him from Pure Prairie League and all that. And he was just kind of getting started rolling. I thought, wow, what a singer and player. So I was playing on his record, overdubbing. I don't remember which record it was. That's how bad it is. I am, again, my forgetfulness, but he was there, and I said, man, Vince, because I knew about Vince, and that's my first introduction to him. He was a real, sweet guy and humble and, funny, very funny guy. He's got a special talent with comedy too. He could probably went into that just easily. It's like a Johnny Carter talk show or something, been great at it. But then, then more or less that's, I played on another record album of his later on down the line. But I mean, of course, he's a guitar player. He, nobody needs to play solos or fills when they play like Vince Gill, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So what do I need to do? Or just put some textures on the song or something like that. I think that's what I did. But more so, Vince would always, we did a CMT special show where we had like Peter Frampton, all kinds of acts, Peter and Sean Colvin and Alan Jackson, and Vince was on there, and we did a song where he played a blues solo on there,
That was good.
And,
I saw that, man.
Yeah.
It was great.
And that was a while back. Yeah. So, I mean, so there's many live shows that we'd be jamming with Vince. So it was more like, I'd be sitting in with Vince, or Vince was sitting in with us, or me, and the players, and, and we just got to be good friends like that, And he's just such an easy guy to get along with. He's so, he's so genuine and funny. And so we became friends, That I haven't played on as many albums as that I might have played on like an Alan Jackson or Brooks and Dunn or something,
Sure. Everybody says that about him, because I've talked to a number of people. They all say the same thing. Very humble, very nice, extremely funny.
Extremely funny. Just a talented funny.
Yeah.
I mean, he could,
Yeah, a lot of people tell me that. Someone was telling me, I think it was either Jeff King, I think it might have, or Jerry McPherson, something about they checked in at a hotel. I think it was Jerry. And something like Vince used his real name. And people would call him, and Jerry's
is that right?
Yeah, and Jerry's like, you talk to him, and he goes, yeah. He goes, why don't you?
He's hilarious.
Yeah, you just talk to people when they call him. Willie Nelson.
Okay, well, yeah, the year I've worked on a lot of Willie's records, and the cool thing about Willie, I played on his, record. Sometimes he wasn't there. He was just very ubiquitous. He was, how he was on everybody's album. At one time, he going, Willie's sure working hard, man. He's playing on this. He's singing guest on this album and this album. But I've done a few albums with James Stroud was producing and Willie. Sometimes he wasn't there, so we'd just get the keys, and sometimes we'd get a call back saying, well, we cut that on the wrong key. Willie said that was supposed to be an E, not G or something, Right. But here's the thing. I'd get a note from Willie after I play. He goes, Brent, I really enjoyed your playing on this record. It was great to hear. You did some amazing stuff on it. Thank you so much. A handwritten note.
Really cool.
Yeah. I know, it was so cool. I did a show because that Dukes of Hazzard. Remember the remake of that was out, and I played on that, and Willie invited us all out to play. We went to L.A. and did the Chinese theater there in Hollywood, and we did the Jay Leno show. And Willie was, I played with Willie a lot. And his bus was parked out back, So a lot of times the guys, I couldn't find them, And here's the thing. All those many songs. I wish I could smoke a joint with Willie or something,
Yeah.
And I don't smoke pot.
Right.
Nothing against it. It just messes me up.
Right.
I couldn't play. And I was looking at that bus out there. I go, wouldn't it be nice just to go out and smoke a doobie with Willie Nelson?
Yeah, that would be.
But not that he was. I don't know. I just heard, we heard the stories. There's probably a lot of that going on. But I'm up there going, if I do that, I won't even be able to find a G chord. It just messes me up. But I thought, wouldn't it have been nice just to say you got to smoke a doobie with Willie,
Yeah, but him smoking is not like you smoke. You're going to be in.
No. It's
him smoking is maybe like, I don't know if you drink, smelling
drinking a coffee.
Yeah, right. It's not the same impact. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah, I just could never do it. But Willie, and I did notice, I was watching Willie because I'd stand up there with Willie, and he wants to play lead, really, like Hazzard. Boys, they want to play guitar more than they did anything, I think. And I figured, man, that's what, I think, Willie sings his lines real fast, I just can't wait to be on the road again. And then he leaves the bar and go do and play. I think he just wants to sing his lines, get those done so he can fill in between.
That's funny,
and
man.
I think that's what he's doing.
That's cool. That was really classy, man, sending you a handwritten note.
Oh, yeah.
That's that's first class.
Every time.
Yeah, that's really
and I remember
cool.
up on stage when we were doing that gig at the Chinese Theater, he was playing, and then I'd said I was to the right of him, and then he'd come over a little while. He goes, "Love what you did on my album."
While you were playing,
and I thought that was cool.
That is cool, man. That's very cool.
A special moment for me.
Yeah, man. Brad Paisley.
Yeah. Oh, Brad. Yeah. Well, okay. So Tim Dubois, who was head of Arista in Nashville, sent me a note and a CD of Brad. He said, "I signed this new artist, and I think he's such a great guitar player too. And I thought of you. I thought you'd really like to hear his stuff, And I listened. Oh, wow, he is good. I mean, I remember going down to a club in Nashville. It's called what was that club? I should have wrote it down. But there was this on 2nd Avenue. It was a club, Wild Horse Saloon. And they were playing some music in the room. I go, wow, who is that? That guitar player is so killer. I even heard a few of my licks in there. And I thought, was that me? I go, no, that's not me, because I wouldn't have. That was something else. I knew that wasn't my lick. But
that's funny, man. Is that a weird experience? That's really cool. When you is that weird?
It's a little weird.
When
It's a high form of flattery, like they say.
Yeah, but that has got to be weird.
But not that he copied me. I just heard a few little influences in there. Then I heard stuff like Roy Buchanan kind of stuff, and this and that, or John Jorgensen maybe, or whatever it may be. And I thought, wow, this guy plays, And so, I ran into him a couple times and complimented me, and then we talked a lot backstage or something. We were at the Opry or whatever, and he would ask me about some foot pedals, what were good foot pedals, and then I'd say, where did you get this lick? We talk like, that's pretty wild. Show me that one. But then later on, I was asked to play on this instrumental album that he'd done, where he was, some of his favorite telly players.
Oh, the one that won the Grammy.
Yeah, that won the Grammy. It was an instrumental on there where, John Jorgensen, Steve Wariner, Albert Lee, all kinds of guys. Red Vocart was on there. Just telly, guys. It was pretty cool. And what was the name of that song? It was
I don't know, man, but I know the record.
Yeah, you know what I mean. They won a Grammy, whatever. I thought I had that down somewhere.
No, don't worry about it, man.
Hold on a second. I'm going to look that up.
Yeah.
Nope. But anyway, you know what I mean.
I know what you're talking. Everybody knows it, man. It's a pretty popular record.
Cluster Pluck.
Cluster plug. Yeah, right. Cluster.
Yeah, we should
right.
remember that, right?
Cluster
That's
plug.
crazy,
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
Cluster plug. Anyway, it won a Grammy, and we all got Grammys on it. So by osmosis, I got a Grammy through Brad, you know. And anyway, that was pretty cool that he invited me out. I remember going out to the Castle studio. I was one of the first guys to play. I was hoping I'd be like maybe the fifth guy, so I could hear what everybody else played to see how I needed to amp mine up, you know, literally. But so I also did, since I was there, one of the first. There was a lot of blank spots on there for other guys, but some of them were there. You know, he cut this before everybody was there. It wasn't like we were all in the same building. You know?
Yeah, that's what I was disappointed. I think
that's literally almost impossible to get all these guys under one roof for a record. You know, because everybody's there somewhere else. So I also did, hey, can you play the harmonies with me on the end, you know? And so I said, yeah, show me. So I was sat there with him. He and I were there, you know, working it out.
That's
so
cool.
There might've been somebody, I'm sure he was there when, you know, or maybe replayed with somebody too. Who knows, you know?
Someone told me either Red or was Jorgensen on that?
Yeah.
Red or Jorgensen. I think it might've been Red, because I was like, in my head, I had this really cool vision of all of you guys hanging out in there. I said, man, that must have been great. He goes, no, man, we all just like phoned it in, you know, not phoned, you know, mailed put our tracks in. It was not, we were not there together. I was like, yeah, you know, I didn't want to hear that.
I think I spent about an hour and a half there doing it.
So you're probably the only one that was there that long, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, at least I was there.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of times, like you said, the files get sent to you, and I'll put it while I'm in Phoenix or something. You know, I'll send it back to you, drop it in.
Yeah.
No, I literally went to the Castle, and Frank Rogers and he were there, and Brad and the engineer, just three of us, and four of us, me, and did it. You know, he was sitting back there in a chair. He goes, hey, why don't you play there? And then he'd grab a guitar and show me what the melody was on the end, so I could figure out the harmony. So there was interaction there. So it wasn't total, you know, cheating or anything. Not that's cheating. It was like disappointment for people.
Yeah.
None of y'all were there.
Glen Campbell, man.
Glen. Oh yeah. Well, I worked with Glen. There was something I played with Glen where we were at Omni Studio, and he was a very flighty guy, sort of neurotic guy. Yeah, I remember him walking around, and, you know, he would come up to me, put his big boot on my chair in front of me, and go, but look, how about if you play this? You know, and I go, yeah, that's pretty good. And I thought, Glenn's showing me a lick. And then when I'd be talking to me, he'd be over on the other side of the studio talking to somebody else, you know?
Yeah.
And I can't even remember what that record was. But I do remember this. I went in to play, there was a gospel album that he just finished. Bubba Smith was the producer, a Christian gospel producer, and Glenn just finished it. And for some reason, he didn't want to play guitar on it, or he just couldn't be available. And he goes, "Go ahead, get Brent Mason on it. He'll play all my parts." So I was very proud when I went in there. I played all the solos and the parts and everything, and I thought, this is so cool, because I was a big Glen Campbell fan. You know, Glen, Good Time Hour, smoking guitar player, just amazing. Was, you know, part of the recordings with the Wrecking Crew, played on many records, you know, Sinatra, whatever, Sonny and Cher, whatever it could be, Beach Boys. So I was a big fan, and sure enough, that was that time he got a DUI or something.
Oh, wow.
Remember that? Sad thing.
No, I didn't know. No, that sucks.
Here's the sad thing: gospel albums don't come out right after that.
Yeah, right. It
shouldn't come out. I don't know if it's in the can or what, but
so it never came out.
It's not. I don't think it ever came out. It should come out.
Yeah, that's really weird.
We'll have to look it up. Bubba Smith was the producer on it, and I remember talking to Tim Akers, a piano player who arranged some of it. And he goes, he wasn't sure if it came out, so maybe it never was released. It's in the can. I also did a Merle Haggard thing that's supposedly in the can, waiting to come out. I don't know if it's under. You know, there's some rights to it, fight that's going on. I don't know. It's just caught up in some kind of legal garb stuff. But
God, that's ridiculous.
You know, there's probably a lot of good albums in the can.
Yeah.
Just this story.
Well, I mean, especially now with the way things are in music. I mean, you think they just let it. You know what I mean? Like, what are you arguing over?
Right.
You know, I mean, you're not talking about like. you're going to sell 1 million copies once it comes out. I mean, it's unfortunate, but it's crazy, man. And this was, I was surprised at this one, Nancy Sinatra.
Yeah, I was surprised that was brought up. I never, that was through, Billy Strange that passed away. Billy was a phenomenal LA guitar player. He was part of the Wrecking Crew too. He did all the stuff like James Bond stuff, and Billy was on a lot of records. And he was friends with Nancy. And Billy was always called me for sessions at that time. We did them up in Brentwood, Tennessee, just south of Nashville.
Yeah.
Chelsea. And I worked with Billy a lot. It was great. I learned a lot from him too. Another guy you learn from, like Chet, Billy Strange.
What'd you learn?
And what's that?
What kind of stuff did you learn from him?
Oh, just record the way he thought when he was recording guitars and stuff. Like Dwayne Eddy. I was always that's where I came up with a lot of low guitar intros. I thought they sort of take command. Those low testosterone signature licks.
Yeah.
That's where it kind of started in Nashville when we started doing the Roadhouse music. Was a those twangy low strings.
And that came from Dwayne Eddy's influence.
Yeah, for me it did.
Yeah, interesting.
I always thought, what a way to take command at a song, a low guitar.
Yeah, very much.
But anyway, back on what I was saying, Billy was the way he recorded, or his thought process during, making a song or putting a song together was a little different than the Nashville way, because he was such a, LA guy back in the time of those days, with Tommy Tedesco and all those. So I learned a lot from him, the way he would put songs together. And Nancy, Nancy was great. I mean, she was, it was later on in her career. And, it was just cool working with somebody, because these boots are made for walking. Just was a, iconic artist to me, the Sinatra family, of course. Uh-huh. It was just pretty cool. And Billy produced it. And
very cool, man.
That's all I can say about it. That's all I can remember.
No, it's all good.
That was just a cool, I don't remember the song. I don't really, it wasn't not a boots, these boots are made for walking success song. Whatever. It was a later one on a record that she was doing. She looked good. Sounded good, sang good.
And how long ago was that?
Oh, gosh, that was at least 17 years ago.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this, and I know you don't like talking about yourself, and I know you're not like furthest thing from an ego, but even your opinion, what is it that you think makes you different as a session player? And what I'm trying to figure out is, what I always like to learn from people is like, what are the tools that you've used to become and stay successful? Because what I find is many of these tools are adaptable to other things in life, whether it's, success is success, whether it's relationship success or in business or whatever. So I'm just curious, if you had to think about those things, what would you say?
Well, I think a lot of it is being. You gotta reinvent yourself a lot, and listen to what's going on. Don't close your mind off. Say, hey, this music's evolving into something. I don't want any part of it, and then talk down about it, or run it down. Because you can do that, but then your career is over if you do that. So. It's just like always being fresh. Sometimes I would go in the studio, and these in the 90s, I'll just start with this. When we did, let's say, I'm going to say this, Alan Jackson songs or Brooks and Dunn.
Sure. Before
that, the recordings were like Jimmy Bowen. They were into this direct to the board recording. There was no amplifiers. It was even drums were digital drums. I remember going in the studio watching Jimmy Bowen record a record. And it was nothing, everything, there wasn't even a divider between the console and the musicians out there on the floor.
Really?
Everything was running direct. Reggie Young he hated it, but he got the best sound because our eyeballs were popping out trying to make the direct preamp sound like an amp. Back those days, they didn't have what they have now, like Kempers or Fractals, It was just EQ'd like an amp. So, I'd be twisting and trying to make this thing sound like an amp. But they were doing that on every record. when we went in Brooks and Dunn, I was dragging in my Fender amps, Smoky amps that were out at Stagecoach Lounge or something. Had a few beers spilt in them and cigarettes put out on top of them or whatever. And they were just making live Roadhouse music, kind of rocking, when we did Boot Scootin' Boogie and all that. Don Cook and Scott Hendricks was producing it. And they put Kix and Ronnie together, Ronnie Dunn, Kix Brooks. They were separate. Tim DuBois had Kix Brooks and Don Cook had Ronnie, and they teamed them up together. They thought, this is what we need right now. It's a good duo like that. And of course, everything's success from there. But we made records where we were just, I was lucky to get on that sound of live, bringing amps back in and, a Roadhouse kind of rockin' country. And it came back in. Dwight Yoakam was doing it in, the West Coast with Pete Anderson and those guys. Great. What a player.
Pete's such a good guy, too. Really good guy.
Yeah. I was a big fan of Pete's when I heard those records come out. God, that's good.
That's how you funny
hear that guitar sound like a real guitar now. That's what a guitar's supposed to sound like.
He's a funny guy.
But here's back to answer your question. Back to that. I just wanted to talk about that for a second. It's just, you got to be a chameleon. You got to listen and, plan on records. It's not about yourself. There's no narcissism involved in it. There's no, hey, I'm going to, this is about me. You got to play for the artist. So each time you play, a lot of times they go, let's get Brent Mason. He's probably going to do some hot telly thing. So I would come in, I would grab a 335 and play something. They go, I didn't know he was going to do that, man. And that was good, too. Did you think he was going to? I left going, I came up always doing something that wasn't the obvious, but just as good, just element of surprise. Just keep things stirred up a little bit.
Yeah.
And reinvention, basically. Keeps things fresh. Now you can apply that to just life in general, I guess.
Well, one thing you said, it's funny because I was on an interview yesterday and someone said to me, what do you think, what's 3 rules of success? And the first thing I said is don't do what everybody else is doing. And that's exactly what you just said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they always say it's better to start a trend than follow one, Yeah,
well, it's just, you're not going to be different doing what everybody else is doing.
But I did, I was pretty lucky. Well, first of all, I kind of brought my club playing into the records, A lot of times, I wanted the musicians to like the song too. So when we did something like I'm in love with the waitress, I had some hot licks in it. And when that's a single and you listen to it, it sounds like half of it's an instrumental. It's like, that's unheard of.
Right.
People at the record label would have heart attacks. They're in think tanks coming up with this, hey, we got a short attention span theater out there. We can't have long instrumentals. They'll turn the channel on the radio or something. But Alan goes, no, man, when we play out in the club, people are dancing.
Yeah.
I want to stretch the instrumental out. That's what dancing's all about, club dances and stuff, club dancing and club music. So I would come up with some crazy instrumentals, and they'd say, just tear it loose. And I didn't want to get fired either and go, hey, you make your own record. This is my record,
Yeah.
But we had a lot of crazy endings. We had a lot of, Brooks and Dunn, Alan Jackson, George Strait, where there was playing on it, back in the 90s. And there is now, but I mean, it kind of evolved into a different thing. But to me, that was pretty cool. And, I got notoriety from that, just playing on, just playing on these records and doing cool licks and instrumentals that stuck out. Again, I was playing them. I was like trying to I wanted the musicians to hear it too on the radio and go, who's playing guitar on that, man? Which I got once in a while.
Man, but this is very interesting, man, because this is what you're saying. You're saying you got to be a chameleon, right? You can't be like, I'm going to do the same thing every time. You know what? I'll
interject right there.
Yeah.
It's like if you're watching a movie, you watch somebody do a part, playing a part, George Clooney or whatever. It's a comedy. He's funny. He does a serious role, Tom Hanks, you got to be the part. It's the same thing. same correlation.
Yeah, man, very much so. And another thing that you said was listen, and that's a very underappreciated, I think, skill set, man. Because that's I've been in sales a long time. I remember the first lessons I learned was, hey, man, you got 2 ears and 1 mouth. Listen. That's what you need to be doing, not talking. And
very much important factor. Yeah.
Yeah.
I totally agree.
And then the other thing is doing what you felt was right. Like, you didn't go with this predetermined. You let loose, man. You said, hey, man, this would sound great on here, and you weren't afraid to do it.
Right. Exactly. And just to elaborate on that, in Nashville, they let musicians were a part of the creative process of a song.
Oh yeah.
As opposed to something like Quincy Jones or whoever may write out the parts and you play your parts, and if you vary from that, you could get pointed out like, good, but stay on the parts, okay?
Yeah.
Nashville was nothing. They were like, we'd get there. If I wrote the charts out at home, it would just be the songwriter strumming on his guitar, no intro or anything. So when we were in recorded, I go, how about this intro here? They'd say, can you give me a good twangy intro? And I'd go like this and play, some kind of a rockin' twang thing. And that was the intro. And then some songs were real, it was real synonymous with the songs. When it came out, it was like, did I write part of that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, maybe you did. Everybody does it. If you want to pursue that in court, or a lawsuit or whatever, go ahead. I hope you make a lot of money.
Yeah.
You're not going to play any more songs again in Nashville.
Right.
It was just part of the thing. It's what everybody does.
Right.
But it's what everybody did. But I loved that. I love to be creative. I'd create some kind of intro. It was very challenging to this. I listened to the song, like you said, listen, lyrics, listen. It helped you develop a signature lick for it. Whatever style it was. And you got to be careful not, we were doing so many sessions that I didn't want to copy something I did last week.
Yeah, that had to be hard.
It's hard.
Because you lose track.
I did a George Strait, like a Spanish guitar thing on a George Strait thing, and I had a lick in it. And then, I think it was almost like a year later almost, I played on a Tracy Byrd, a Texas artist, and I did the same lick. I forgot I did it. But then they came out at the same time.
Oh, my God.
And they were in the charts about, like one was number 2 and the other one's going up the charts number 5. And they had the same lick and everybody going, I heard that lick, man.
Oh, my God. That's funny.
And I go, oh, yeah. Oh, because only musicians would know it, though. Like Elmer and Bernice out there was going, honey, ain't that the same lick they played on,
I hear.
on the George Strait thing? I believe it is. But we did that a lot. Well, no, it didn't happen a lot. I just remember that as being one specific thing that had happened on. But, sometimes it's hard to come up with new licks for in the key of E or something that's going to have a honky-tonk thing. You got to really put a twist on it,
It's a law of numbers, man. You're going to bounce it. When you're doing so much of the same thing, you're bound to. It's statistically impossible not to happen, actually.
Right.
How does it not happen?
Exactly.
Yeah, it's not possible.
There's only so many melodies you can come up with at this point, that hadn't been used over the years of the history of music.
Well, plus you are doing 3 sessions a day, 7 days a week. You're not even gonna, because of the volume, you're not even gonna know. You're gonna have this lick in your head. You're not even gonna know. Oh yeah, I did this last week. I mean, innocently. It's not possible when you're doing that much work.
It is. It's right. Especially in the 90s. I mean, I got a pretty good recall for melodic recall and stuff like that, or something if I make sure that I'm real careful that I don't copy something.
Yeah. But
similar,
accidentally, there's no way you could avoid it, man. It's just not possible. Just because, it's like me and doing these interviews, man. I'm going to say something, tell a story that I think I never told before, but or partial, it's just you doing so many. It's just, that's what happens, man.
Age of cyclical things. How many movies have they made over and over again,
Yeah, totally, man.
of this and that, a remake of that remake.
And the other thing I think is really important is too your attitude about look, no matter what you do for a living, there's always things to bitch about. And a lot of guys would say, man, I'm really pissed off because I should get co-writes here and blah, blah, blah. Most of the better quality guys don't say that. They say exactly what you say. I love to create. This is my opportunity. I raised my hand to do this. It wasn't like you got co-writes and then they pulled the, hey, right. Psych, you don't get. I knew what I was doing, and this gave me the opportunity to do that within the context and framework of playing guitar on records. So I think that's like an incredibly healthy attitude. You're looking at the because you could look at negative in anything, man. Or you could look at positive in anything, and you chose the positive. That's cool, man. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. And
just in general, negativity it bogs you down and brings you down. There's no good aura about that at all. Positivity just increases, work and enjoyment of what you do.
And it's a lot less stressful on you as well.
Yeah, right.
Are you working on anything now that you're particularly excited about?
I'll tell you what, I'll have to channel back to Reggie Young. They always ask Reggie, every time he did an interview, hey, when you gonna work on an album? And he'd go, no, I'm just so busy, I can't do it. And then finally he said, when I do get a break, my wife and I like to go to Florida.
There you go, man.
And I said, that says so much. When I get a break, I'm gonna let's get the hell out of here. Let's go to Maui.
Good for you.
We spend a couple months in Maui, or we go to to Florida or something, Key West or Sarasota. We got I just but it is a good time to try to put a record together. When I get some space, I gradually start writing some stuff and working on it. And I need to do one because I always threaten about it, and people are going like this boy at Cried Wolf. He's doing a record right. We heard him say that 100 times.
That's awesome.
But I'm really at a point now where I'm just enjoying, the downtime where I just, have fun. We love to travel and spend time together because when we're at home, we're just constantly, she's booking things, and my wife booking things, writing stuff down, and we're going, I don't want to do that. No, the old,
yeah, man.
When you're in one house looking at each other, trying to do business, you got to break away from it and get back to some romance, right?
Good for you.
You got to take some trips and rediscover yourself. So that's what I'm into right now.
Right on, man. How long have you been with your wife?
We just about 17 years.
Good for you, man. Man, right on. That's the way to go. Especially now, it's not like you haven't earned it, man. You haven't put your time and paid your dues, man. Good for you. Right. No, seriously, man. Now's the time. What are you going to wait for now at this point, right? What are you waiting for?
Well,
right?
I mean, there's a certain time you just, it's like, hey, I mean, you can work and slave yourself to another, and I mean, you can be a slave, work yourself, workaholic, pile them up, let's get the money. And then you're going, hey, wait a minute, I'm 70 years old. What am I going to do? Now I don't really have much time left. I mean, I could die in 10 years, I mean, human life expectancy doesn't go much longer than this. I think it's time to enjoy life a little bit,
Well, plus, if you're lucky enough to have a good thing at home, and we're in this, you're a little bit older than me, but everybody left from right and center is getting divorced. If you got a good thing at home, now's the time to enjoy it, man.
Yeah.
Take advantage of that. It makes a huge difference. Brent, top 3 studio experiences that you've had.
Oh, as far as just funny things, or just situations, or musically?
Whatever.
Either one.
You tell me, man. Top 3, the most rewarding, whatever stuff that you felt really cool.
It begins with that Chet Atkins thing. When I went to play on that first, it was one of my first things. I was a nervous wreck. I went to his house and recorded on it was called Leather and Lace. It was a thing with Mark Knopfler and Chet. Mark wasn't there, Chet was there, and I was a nervous wreck. I played on it, and he was loving it. I had one of these stupid UE 405 Ibanez analog things, these rack-mounted things, and I was wanting to play stereo, and I had hooked it up and put 2 chords out. He had one like a little Music Man amp or something, and I had my amp, and it was a PV or something, and we hooked it up, and I was playing. It was a good sound, and then for some reason one side went out on the which was okay. Still got mono,
Right.
But for some reason, I kept the stereo analog chorus, and it was real crappy sound and real shitty sound, you know. And I was going to take it off, and he goes, "No, leave that on there. I like that." I went, "Okay, yeah, sure." And I hated that was on there. It came out on the record. I go, "Why did I leave that cheap sounding mono chorus?" It was like, you know, stereo first. It was like, you know, that's the Grammy award winning album, but it was called Leather and Lace of Martin Offering. Yeah, that was, I have to look at that as, you know, kind of a funny thing and an important peak moment in my career.
No doubt.
Because that was at the beginning. And then, you know, it was a bunch of stuff. You know, working with legendary people like George Jones and just having experiences with them and Shania. There's a lot of things. I just musically, you know, it was fun working. You know, I remember just out of the ordinary, I worked on a record with Natalie Cole that was it was on a Patsy Cline tribute album, and she was just tearing it up singing. Really? I was such a fan. Usually a lot of times I play on something, then I'll sign a card and head out the door to go home. But I said, I'm gonna hang and listen to this girl sing.
That's cool, man.
And it was, I just wanted to get down on the floor and kiss her feet and go, that is so good. Man, you know, she sang it, and we were playing at the end. It didn't come out on the record, but we were jamming, and she was scatting, you know, like some jazz, and I was playing, and it kept going, and she was following every note. And I thought, wow, we should have a recording of that, the outtakes or you know, or whatever, because the thing faded out much sooner than that happened. You know, so, you know, it was kind of out of the ordinary, you know, from coming from Brooks and Dunn and playing on
Natalie Cole,
and then going to play on George Jones, you know. But there was a funny thing. There was a funny story. Miranda Lambert. But first of all, she won the Nashville Star thing. Session players get goofy in the studio. It's just like a comedic thing, situational comedy thing. But Eddie Bears and myself, Eddie the drummer, Eddie Bears, we had this thing where it was called the music business metaphor. And so we'd go in the studio and we were joking around. We were just feeling silly that day. I'd take a $5 bill and throw it on the floor. Eddie would bend over to pick it up, and then I would come back behind him, you know, and simulate a dry hump kind of thing. This is the music.
The music. What's it? The music.
And they would
That's
laugh,
awesome,
you know. And we did this, and then right when we were in the middle of that, you know, the position that isn't too attractive at all, Miranda walks in with her mother.
Oh my God.
And she just was
Brent,
jolted
this is
back.
my mom.
She jolted back. This is Miranda. I think probably her first.
Oh my God.
I'm in a session, a recording session. Her mother brings her in, sees us creeps in there, you know.
Oh my God. That's hilarious.
How do you explain that? Oh, Mrs. We're doing, this is just
it's a skit.
You know, we do a funny thing, little metaphor, like this is, you know, they give you money and then they screw you later, you know, or something. And we just made it worse.
Yeah. That's hilarious.
Just shut your mouth. You already made a fool out of yourself. And she was like, I wonder what I'm bringing my daughter into here. She never did leave after that. She made sure she stayed. And, you know, poor Miranda, this was one of her first, you know, she'd won that Nashville Star, like us. And then this was a big entrance, and this was her big thing for the studio recording. And we were caught, you know, doing our goofy, stupid thing.
You can imagine her like going to the producer and saying, "Man, are you sure these are the guys?"
I don't think we got called on another one after that.
Oh my God.
But we're always doing goofy stuff in the studio.
That is really
I remember we were working with Mutt Lang on Shania, and, you know, Mutt's real, you know, particular about what, you know, we work on things, and he's meticulous about each note. And sometimes you just want to go crazy, you know. And I looked at John Jarvis over there, and John's real quiet. He's a piano player, and he's like this, because he'd been telling us, you know, do this, do that, and I was getting tired. And I looked over, I thought he was looking at his chart. He had the famous Norwegian artist, you know, Van Gogh. He had the Scream sketched out on his chart. Like that's what he had written back to. Instead of taking notes on the song, he had.
That's so funny,
that
man.
Look, I laughed.
That's hilarious. Yeah. Oh my God. Speaking of which,
there's a lot of. Yeah, go ahead.
Tell me the strangest experience, although you might have just said it, or the strangest session request that you've had. You can give out names or not, whatever you want, man.
Oh, there's so many. We had, okay, so there's a guitar player, Billy Joe Walker, who passed away.
Yeah.
Billy was a great player, crazy kind of eccentric guy. We were doing a Shelley Wright album, and sometimes Billy would come in, in his earlier days with sunglasses on and a bathrobe on. And in the front pocket, there was a bottle of whiskey in the older days. Well, he got rid, he didn't do that. Thank God he broke that habit. Bathrobe was still on or whatever, sometimes. But anyway, Billy was there working on Shelley Wright. And I see these guys in the studio more than I see my own family. This is our family.
Yeah.
And we just get goofy sometimes. Sometimes Matt Rollins going, playing Looney Tunes.
Yeah.
So and the artists are in there going, are they even liking my music? What's going on here? They're making fun of me? No, we do this. But anyway, we do this all the time. Shelley Wright was saying, guys, do you think, the producer, maybe Ed C, was saying, do you think we should cut that chorus in half or make it half instrumental? Shelley was wanting to know too. And we were just a goofy Eddie Bears, and we going, I don't know, we need to consult with the monster. This was Billy Joe, his thing. He had a little bit going where he would, Monster, what do you think about that? Shelley wants to, and he'd go, like this. He goes, uh-huh. And we go, the monster said, absolutely not. We need to, probably do the chorus. And then later, he just kept going on. We just took it too far.
Right.
And finally, the producer came out and he goes, guys, Shelley doesn't like that monster thing. We got to stop that. And it was funny when we reacted to that. We were like really hurt. We go, really? Oh, wow. We were really hurt about that. It was like we were so into it that we had to stop it, and it was kind of depressing at that moment, But who could blame her? We would take something too far. But let's talk to the monster.
It's too funny, man.
The monster says maybe, but we need to,
That is so funny, man. Well,
yeah,
man, when you're
really
indoors for hours and hours, man, you gotta blow off steam like that.
Yeah, George Jones I remember him like, his fly was open the whole session. Nobody would say anything, like, who's going to tell George Jones his fly's wide open? I just let him walk around.
That's pretty funny, man. Oh my God.
There's something funny in a session,
Oh my God, that's hilarious, dude.
Yeah. That's the ones I remember.
Yeah. That's funny as hell. Hey, what was Van Wert, Ohio like? Cause I know it's a small town. What was that? What was your childhood like? What was that place like growing up?
It was just pretty out in the boonies, kind of. It was a big flat grid of farmland, and pretty isolated area back there. It wasn't much, it's not like a Columbus, Ohio or something. The closest city to us was Fort Wayne, Indiana, because we're right across the state line. It was all about, high school football, and I played baseball and football a little bit, It was all about just hometown USA stuff, Sure. There wasn't much there to offer as far as a music industry at all, unless you went to Cincinnati or something like that, or Cleveland. But that was pretty far away. That was about 100 miles away. So It was like an isolated area. And just wasn't much there, when I grew up, as far as learning music. Now we have the internet. We can connect with anybody around the globe, There it was just like, you had to find somebody that was up to par with you. So, there was some college guys that I met, and they played jazz a little bit, and then, of course, we learned rock and roll, ZZ Top and Bad Company, because we wanted to go out and play and watch the girls dance,
Yeah, of course.
Girlfriends and stuff. But that's about what it was, just like any hometown USA, just, carpool to the Friday night home games, and, it was, and just help your dad farm, plow the fields and bale hay.
Sure, man.
That's what it was all about. All my uncles and stuff were farmers, big farmers. I used to go out and help them farm. And Dad was a factory worker. He was a little different. He drove all the way to Fort Wayne, Indiana, which was about, an hour away to work every day.
That's a big commute.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Close to an hour. But it was just, it wasn't a place to, you were going to really excel in the music business to climb the ladder. There was just, it was a place you had to leave. If you're going to do that, some people stayed there, if you're a farmer and you love to farm,
yeah,
you're in the right place.
No, I totally get it. No, you did the right thing. You couldn't have had a career like you've had staying there, man. That's for sure. Any, Brent, any low points or dark periods you've had to deal with in life, and how'd you get through them?
Well, I would say probably would be that, it's just in a career aspect is when I got stuck. I worked in that factory and
making toolboxes.
My finger, I would work at a factory, and I always reflect back to there's a James Taylor song called Mill Worker. If you haven't heard
check it out.
Yeah, check that song, Mill Worker. He sang it. I heard Bruce Springsteen sang it on a James Taylor tribute, and when he sang it, his voice and everything, it just gave me goose pimples listening to it. The way it's about a factory worker. Anybody that listens to this, go listen to the James Taylor song he wrote, Mill Worker, and that's all I'm gonna say. You'll listen to it, but that's what I felt like when you listen to that song. I thought I'm wasting away in this factory, and I'm doing this, menial job, as a lot of people do them. And right there's the clock, and I'm watching tick. Okay, that's 2 minutes, 3 minutes. It's almost like a prison kind of thing. And then I would go out and eat my lunch, and I would go out to the car with my lunchbox and eat my peanut butter sandwich or whatever. I looked at my hands, and I worked with steel toolbox that was just scathed with cuts on my, and I'm going, I'm done. I can't. And then I'd flip on the radio and hear, a great song or whatever, and knew who was playing on it or whatever. I say, that's Steve Lukather, that's David Hungate, Toto,
Right.
I want to be there, but I can't. I gotta get out of here. I gotta do it because I told you earlier, I watched the guy get his fingers cut off. I don't want to get to that point.
Yeah.
I'd be done. That was a dark point for me. And, I just took that leap of faith and went to Nashville, and after that, we did get laid off. So that was a good thing. I didn't have to quit.
Yeah.
And then that means I came to Nashville, and then I got hooked up with a gig, I get things parlayed from there, but that was a dark period. For a minute there, I thought, this is what I'm going to do in my life. This is it. I feel stuck in time here. It was real dark. I remember getting up and just like throwing up. I didn't want to go to work. I'd get up 5 a.m. and just want to throw up. It was just, something. I don't know why. This is just like, when you're 19 years old. I didn't go to college. I went straight to work. And, I think I went to work in a tile mill first. See how this is being in there's a lot of college opportunities for, people. Different families, but I was kind of low middle income. Just had to go to work, take care of myself when I got out of school. It was like, now what are you going to do, son? Don't play that music. And that wasn't my dad. He was real supportive. He was a great father. But a lot of people would look and go, yeah, you played that guitar and we all loved you. Now what are you going to do? To make a living. Nobody could see music as being a living, and they were pretty,
in Van Wert,
It's a miracle to make a living as a musician, a normal, and until you come to a music town and then you see everybody doing it, But somewhere stuck in Ohio, it's like, what are you gonna do? Play in a bowling alley on Friday and Saturday? That's not gonna support your family. So it was a dark period. I got out of it, and I look back and I look at it as a growing experience, it's just because you think you got it bad now, compare it back to that, go, no, I'm doing great.
Yeah, perspective.
Yeah, I did the right thing.
Thank you, man. But you made it happen by sending that tape to Paul.
Yeah. It really got things moving in the right direction.
Yeah, Paul Franklin.
And I got validated on, hey, I am doing something that means something. It's good at what I'm doing. I didn't know sometimes if what I was doing was good. I was like, it was kind of nebulous whether anything, how do I compare with anything else? I'm not around it. So
So like spiritually and emotionally, yeah, it validated you. And then, you know, it was like, I think we all need permission sometimes to do something. And that was probably a very big yes, permission to go ahead, which is great, man. That's really cool.
Yeah. Thanks.
Oh, thank you, man. Anything that you did that was out of your comfort zone, maybe, but hindsight 2020, you know, it did lead to a big breakthrough. And I'm sure going to Nashville was one of them.
Well, yeah. Well, here's the thing. I'm generally shy. I'm shy. If I don't know you very well, I'm kind of quiet. You know, I'm always thinking back then when I was young, I didn't want to say anything stupid, and I just assumed just shut up and listen. And so, you know, and I've always been shy, and being a perfectionist has kind of been crippling to me sometimes. I'm such a perfectionist. I can't watch myself on a video. I don't think I've watched a whole video of myself. Even when I thought I did good, then I look at the video and I go, that wasn't so good. I thought that was good, you know. And there's nothing more crippling and debilitating than that, you know, mentality of perfectionism, you know.
Because nothing ever works.
Nothing ever works. You're looking for the flaw in it, the mistake, not the good parts. Yeah. You're just totally focused on the negative part of it. And I got away from that. I thought, but you know, when I go out and hear somebody play, I don't want to see them play note for note the same thing every night. You know, I want to see them go for it, even if they screw up. I'm going to like the concert better, you know, but not me though.
Yeah.
I even like to work out the things I screw up, you know, or whatever.
Yeah.
It's just that, you know, so perfectionism was kind of crippling to me. But what was the initial question now? I kind of lost.
It was anything that and you can keep going on that tangent. It was great. It was,
I think it was related. But
it was anything that you did that was overwhelming, but you went and did it anyway, and it turned into a big.
Just kind of overcome the fear of it. That's performing out live, talking to an audience, you know. I always, you know, as being a side musician, all you wanted to do is just, you know, hey, I'm just going to play my part here and play it really good. I don't have to entertain the folks. You know, I just never looked at myself as being hey, I'm going to work the room here. Where are you from? Are you from guitar player? You know, this is not my bit, you know.
Don't forget to tip your waiters and waitresses.
Right. Yeah, that I had to overcome that fear, you know, or speaking at a clinic, you know, and teaching somebody. I'm pretty good at it now because of Skype and stuff, you know, so I kind of broke that stigma long ago, but it's still not in my genetic makeup to be, you know, such an extrovert. So I'm always like a little shy.
Yeah, interesting. You know, a lot of musicians are, which I'm sure you know. Guys,
I remember Steve Martin. I always thought, well, I'm going to be funny in front of Steve Martin. I want to say, well, he's going to laugh, you know, because he seemed so serious. He was so serious, you know. It's just like, wow, I thought he was going to be goofy. He has to be the jerk. Come on.
Yeah.
Everything is calculated with it. He might be a perfectionist. He had a great book I read, but everything was a perfectionism. Every comedic thing was worked out to a T. Micromanaged everything, the timing, the joke, and he was such a pragmatic person, you know, worked it out. That's the same thing I do. A lot of times I'll want to work out a solo. It never comes out like you want it to. You know, that sounds too worked out, you know. That's I was trying to perfect something I perfect. So I watched it and I go, I got to stop doing that. I just got to go for something, do something crazy. I just don't like predictability all the time. So
yeah, yet you're most successful.
But I noticed that when you do something for a living, sometimes when you go home and you go, oh God, I got to get away from that now. So I'm gonna, you know, a lot of times I don't want to. I'll say this: when I go on vacation, I don't take a guitar. It's almost like a fasting. I fast.
Yeah, I get that, man.
But I listen to some great music, whether it might be country, Merle Haggard, or it might be Steely Dan, it might be Donald Fagen. You know, I sit there and listen to it, and I'm getting real inspired. And when I get back home, I grab the guitar, and I feel like I play better. Just, you know, play an hour to get your chops back up, but then your mind refreshes, it reboots, and I feel like I play better after that.
I think it's hard when your vocation and your hobby are the same thing.
Yeah.
You know, like when I'm feeling shitty and I pick up a guitar, it's like magic. But I'm not you can't do the same thing in a sense, you know, because you're in it all, you know, it's like you need to do something else almost.
And you got to be careful of that because, you know, it could be a job and it could be, you know, it's like there's a song George Strait sang, I hate everything. Keith Stigall wrote it. You kind of feel like that. I hate everything, you know. I'm not going to like that. I'm not going to like this. I'm too beyond it or something.
Yeah.
You know? But when you get back to you be inspired from something soulful of music, then you're inspired to play again. It's real refreshing for me. I can come into it and be better.
It's great, man.
That. So I do that a lot. When we go on our vacations, I reboot.
That's great, man.
Clean the slate.
Yeah, man, that's great. And you get to hang out with your wife, and that's the most important thing. I'm just going to tell the listeners, I am not going to ask Brent any guitar questions, really, because he's done a million interviews.
Isn't this a guitar show?
No.
I see
sort
guitars
of.
hanging. An SG, a Les Paul, a Strat. You got the right arsenal up there.
Yeah, this is my favorite, my 335.
Your 335? Well, that just completes the whole.
Nashville, actually.
That's the.
Yeah, I love this guitar. It's
Mount Rushmore of guitars here.
Yeah,
as far as the brands.
I love it, man. It just feels so good to play. You know John Prestia?
No.
Tim McGraw's tech?
Oh, no, I met him. I didn't know. Again, back to names again. Yeah.
He's been with Tim for like 25 years.
Yeah.
But he helped me buy this in Nashville like about 2 years ago when I was there. Yeah, it's new, but it looks like an old one. But
they're great. You can find great 335s. Isn't like that.
Oh my God, I love that guitar, man. But I'm not going to ask Brent guitar questions today because you can go on. You want me to ask you one guitar question?
Well, of course, yeah.
Right,
I didn't mean to totally shut off the guitar questions.
No, okay. Yeah. I'm not going to ask him about the guitars he plays, because that you can find out anywhere. Just as a million YouTube videos. Any cooler, interesting stories about how you acquired any of your guitars?
Yeah. Okay. So, this gray Telly here.
About time he pulls out a guitar.
This baby, right?
Hello.
See, when I pick this up, rings. I'm getting booked on a session right now. Right?
Go ahead, man. Take the call. We can edit it out.
It's. Well, that's okay. This one here, you see it, the Telly.
The Telly.
It's bastardized.
How long have you had that?
Since 1983.
Wow. How many times have been refretted?
Probably several. Yeah, so it's I got this. So Don Kelly. Go back to Don Kelly. I told the story of I had to retire the Hagstrom Swede and get a Fender if I was going to get any work in Nashville. You know, I was to follow that advice, and Don and I took a little a trip out to the music store. It was Hughley's Music down East Nashville, and that guitar was hanging. Of course, it didn't have all those pickups. It was just standard Telly hanging up, car primer paint on it. So, the lacquer off of it, and was going to repaint it and stuff. And then they go, I'm going to trade it in on something else. And they took it to the store, and that's the way it looked. Don had got one of those butterscotch. No, it was a white one, white Telly. But let me go back. I purchased the white Telly. He bought that one.
Oh, okay.
The gray one, yeah. And we played the gig that night, and I was playing my white, one I bought, and Don was playing that gray one. And I go, can I play that gray one? I want to check it out. And I was playing, I go, God dang, I like this. I kind of like this one better. And he goes, okay, we'll just keep that one. I'll keep this one. Because Don was known, he wouldn't have his more than 3 days, and he was trading it in on something else anyway.
Okay.
He never kept the guitar more than a month. And so that's how I got that one. I traded with Don at the gig. And that's the Telly that, of course, then later on, there was a guitar player, Sid Hudson, I was talking about, that had a third pickup put in in the middle, and it inspired me to do it. He was one of the first guys to do it. And so I took it to Joe Glazer, and Joe sort of mapped it out, how to do it for the best of my, for my styles and stuff like that. He thought to put an extra volume in on the middle pickup and where you could just bleed it in. And I ended up just kind of bleeding in that middle pickup with either the bridge or the neck. As more of an EQ, it kind of scooped it out a little bit as I turned it in. I mean, full on, it was supposed to have that out of phase Strat sound, and it did for a while, but then it just didn't. It wasn't, close but no cigar. But I ended up just using it to take that offensive high end out of it, where I would scoop it out a little bit. It was good because you could bleed it in with that volume knob. It was just specifically for that middle pickup.
What is that pickup, the middle one?
That's a Seymour Duncan stack.
Okay. And
then the middle one, the neck one is a Baby Humbucking Gibson. And
it's funny that you got a Gibson pickup in there, man.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. Back then, I couldn't afford to have. I'm looking up on your wall. I couldn't afford to have a Strat, and I couldn't afford to have a Les Paul. So I thought, well, I'm just going to make this guitar be able, for the neck pickup, it's going to be a Les Paul, and then the back pickup is going to, and then the middle one's going to give me a Strat, because I had to trade in one to get the other. I remember taking a 335 and trading it for a Strat, because I couldn't afford to keep them both back then, the 80s. And so it just, that was it. It was the do-all guitar. And it just stayed in, that's kind of how it developed. It was just for being, didn't have enough money to afford 3 or 4 different guitars, I had to find one that did everything.
And you've never put it down. That's what's amazing about it.
Yeah.
At 1983, that's 93, 203. That's almost 13. It's 36 years.
Yeah, amazing, huh?
That's longer than like most marriages, man.
Yeah, right.
Seriously.
That's been with me. Yeah, right.
No, that's awesome,
longer
man.
Than my wife has, actually.
Yeah. So that's awesome, man. Very cool.
Nice. Never thought about that.
Best guitar and best amp you've ever owned or played?
Well, I mean, I'll just say that was my best guitar, just because of what it has accomplished for me, and instead of that Telly, it's a 68. Amp-wise, I mean, I've tried different amps through the years, and I kind of went back just to this deluxe 67 Blackface Deluxe Reverb. And, way back at the beginning, it had the stock speakers, and I think were Blue Jensen's, but I put the 112 speaker in. I put a Warehouse 30 in there, and it just made it so versatile, magic, after it sweetened out and broke in, that speaker, that WGS. Wow. It's so good. I've been reusing it again, because I started out using it on, I think the first time I used it was on a Brooks and Dunn, and We'll Burn That Bridge When We Get There. It was a song, and I took it in the sound shop, set it up in the middle of the floor, and Mike, go, damn, that thing is so the characteristics are so perfect for, for that country twang and getting a little, taxing it a little bit to give it a little dirt, but not too much. Because they're like 23 watts or something, but that speaker is a 30, like a green back or whatever they call it. But it's an old one. It's the gold one, so it's been in there a while, sweetened out. That amp is probably the best one. I had plenty of Fenders, Bassman's Blackface 65, Twin 65 Blackface, a bunch of Fenders, Matchless, and a Marshall, and I just got different ones, but I always somehow really gravitate back towards that deluxe.
That's cool, man.
I mean, there's some things, where you want a big 12, like a big closed cabinet for that low end push for certain things. But this thing really, it just speaks. Everybody goes, "What's that you got, man? I love that sound," So if you mic it with a 57 or some kind of a condenser mic and kind of get it in there, right, and get the blend, it's amazing what that thing sounds like.
Is that kind of like what your vintage amp is sort of like that.
Yeah, yeah,
like that?
yeah. It does. I'm still working on that a little. I'm tweaking on it, and I'm trying to find the right speaker combination for it. You know, when you put new speakers in an amp, you always go like, damn. You know, you probably want to run it through its course and sweeten it out. You know.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm designing. You know, it's going after that one. Go ahead.
What percentage of your sessions would you say you've had your telly on, or you've played your telly on?
I'm probably playing on every session on some song.
Wow.
I mean, there's been some. You know, I went in to play on a certain thing that I didn't play it at all. It just depends. You know, so some things are kind of rocking now, and it still has a good sound. But you know, I use an SG or something maybe you know, I got a Strat or an SG or 335 like you got there, and then the telly. There's been some things where it just was more like a humbucker day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I use that. It's always been there. It's probably been on just, I would say 98% of some, you know, all the stuff that I've done.
Like whenever you leave your house.
If it's a long recording day.
Yeah.
It's going to be used at some point.
You're always leaving with that guitar when you leave.
Yeah. I mean, they put the other stuff back. You know, Cartage might gather it all up and throw it back in the trunk. You know, the other guitars, that one's on my back going out the door.
Yeah, good for you, man.
Yeah, I do now. I used to leave it with, I mean, I never thought much about it. Now I go, I'm going to take that. My wife goes, you need to take that home.
Yeah, she's right, man. You know, there's only one.
Right.
Yeah, man.
Only one.
Top Desert Island. I'm sorry,
it's starting to, you know, the wood's starting to weather away on it. So, and I don't really travel. I hate to travel with it anymore. I don't do it anymore. I'll take it to plane, or I'll take there's one that's a road worn back there. It sounds real good. It's a butterscotch one. It sounds really good. It's got a B bender in it.
Did Joe make that?
Yeah, he put the B bender in it, but it's just I don't know, like 80. It sounds good. I don't know. I don't even know what the pickups. Somebody had owned it and bought it as a road worn, and they wore it out some more. my guitar tech found it, and I played it. And I go, damn, that's a great guitar. So, you know, that way, if it's on the plane and it flies out the window or something, I'm going, oh well.
Yeah, right. It's not your guitar.
You know, not this one. I would be like heartbroken.
Yeah, of course, man.
If the gray one, something happened to it.
Hey, tell me your top 3 Desert Island discs.
Oh.
Just for now, because that could change, of course.
Oh, you know, let me see. I made little notes of that because I wanted to really.
You know that question. Everybody makes notes of that.
Here's what this says, Craig.
Everybody makes notes on that question. That's a big important question.
Which island would that be?
Your choice, bro.
Gill.
Whatever island.
No, you know, really, it would be. I did, man. That's. Wasn't that the last question?
That's the last question on the guitar section.
Oh,
page 3.
Well, right here it says, right on this sheet of paper, Craig. It says this has been noted and documented. There's a lot of records, you know. Like I'd probably get as many as I could there, you know, make a raft out of them. You know what? I really like the George Benson thing. Songs of the Key of Life, Stevie Wonder, Wired, Jeff Beck, Exit, Pat Martino. Now we're getting in Swinging Doors, Merle Haggard. You know, there's a lot. Jerry Reed's all about all the, you know, Nashville Underground. Jerry Reed explores guitar country. You know, James Taylor stuff, the best of James Taylor maybe, and even again, I mentioned, you know, I like Donald Fagen, you know.
Yeah.
So I need a good eclectic bunch of things, you know what I mean? And of course, you know, everybody would put the Beatles in there, and you know, I mean, I'm a big fan of the Beatles, but you know, I was kind of like, I remember when the Beatles came out, it was such a hot thing. Even in Ohio, where I said it was kind of a musically challenged area in many ways. There was always Beatle bands, you know, and I was a little young for them, but I would always like admire them, you know, when they were out there doing the Beatles covers and stuff. You know, but I do think, you know, so the Beatles not being in there is sort of like, why can't the Beatles be in there? So I thought, well, you know, and they're just not for me, but I love them. I feel guilty not putting the Beatles in there, right?
I know. I'm watching you wrestle with this. I'm watching
yeah.
you wrestle with this, Brent. And I'm just, whatever, man.
I get Paul McCartney.
If it makes you feel any better, the Beatles
the
are not
best
going to be on my list.
songwriters in the world, one of them, two of them. But anyway, those are probably,
Very cool, man.
Jerry Reed, Nashville Underground. Better Things in Life is a good Jerry Reed album. But I was a big fan of Stevie Wonder when I was a kid. It kind of introduced me to soul music. I was a big soul music fan too, as well.
Songs in the Key of Life comes up a lot.
Yeah, it really is. But they're all great Stevie Intervisions,
Yeah.
There's so many good albums of Stevie's. James Taylor, just for the beautifully crafted songwriting and melodic things that he did. I was a big fan of James. Am still.
Have you played with him?
Only played with him on a show. I didn't play on a record. It was a couple shows. One I remember he did a show for the induction of Garth Brooks.
Oh, cool.
This was at the CMA. This was the last time I worked with him, and James came in, and he had a song. I can't remember one of Garth, the River or something, and John Hobbs had already written out the chart to it, like Brooks, like Garth's, record version. James goes, hey, I add some chords to it, and he was playing. I'm going, yeah, let's do that. He was adding some minor nines and the James Taylor thing, and I thought, wow, this is great. It's kind of last minute though, and John had to tell me, because James, he goes, yeah, that's good, but I don't think we could do it, okay? Because, don't have enough time. And I was going, wow, balls. That's some balls. I told James he can't do his version like that because we already got the. He goes, but James is so sweet. He goes, oh, yeah, I understand. Yeah. And I was going, damn, that would have been so cool.
Hey, man, let's just put it out there.
But he's another humble guy, that just real, real humble and sweet and polite and stuff.
But most of the
makes you a fan of him more.
Don't you find most of the, not all, but most of the people, and I hate to use the word food chain, but the higher up the food chain people are, they tend to be more like that, more normal than like normal as far as warmth and like common courtesy.
Exactly. Yeah, I remember Steven Tyler when I worked with him on the Willie Nelson birthday bash. There was Michael Rhodes had went through a drug rehabilitation thing, and he said, I'm really looking up to Steve on that one because he went through the same thing, Steven Tyler, and he looked up to him as a mentor with that, and he goes, I'm not going to bug him. He goes, well, then he started walk off with his entourage, after we'd done the song, and I saw him while they were doing that, and then Steven looked back, he goes, oh, come here. And he just left what he was doing for Michael Rhodes,
That's really cool, man.
Hugged him. That's real genuine,
Yeah.
And I thought, man, that makes him even a bigger star to me, He didn't have to do that.
No,
right?
That's really cool. Man, when you're successful in anything, there's a price to pay for it. And I was curious for you, what has been in any way that you're comfortable, any price that you've had to pay for the success you've had?
Well, I think it's probably just what I mentioned earlier was, you sometimes play through anniversaries. You have to book work. You miss birthdays and stuff like that, especially if you're out on the road. Now, even when I wasn't out on the road, I still was working. I'd miss a daughter's birthday or vacations. I'd have to cut them short and leave, and my wife would stay there. I got to go. There's an album that just, George Strait wants to cut, and I can't miss this account. We're all so worried about missing accounts. If you didn't, when available, you might not be back on the next one, or there was always that fear. So, I kind of feel like, again, my work ethic's good, but I had that workaholic thing where I didn't enjoy anything. I just had these blinders on. I'll make that same analogy with horses coming out of the gate. I just saw this tunnel vision, work, be on this. I can't miss this album. And if I do, you don't want to be around me.
Yeah.
So, I just felt like I probably could have lightened up on that a little bit, and enjoyed life. I maybe had a little more hobbies, and it may have done, lighten me up a little bit.
Yeah, I get that, man. Do you have any hobbies outside of music?
Well, I mean, I ride my bike, work out, and I like to,
Yeah, you look pretty fit, man.
Sports. Yeah. Well, thanks. But I mean, I like to work out. I like just, try to stay in shape. I'm not like a fanatic or anything, or like a bicyclist that, has to ride up mountains or anything. But I do like to get on and just stay healthy.
Yeah.
And I like to travel, I will if we go I love to paddleboard and get out on the water and do activities on the water.
Oh, that's
ocean,
cool, man.
Whatever.
Dude, so you're like letting down your hair. You're like being a normal person now, man.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. I'm talking like that's some kind of great eventful thing, and it's just like, a normal life.
Dude, you're preaching to the choir, though, man. I totally understand this.
Yeah,
it's just
we get caught up in the caught up in the blinders of workaholism, and it's just it's not good. At some point, at my age, your age even, it's like, again, we got to enjoy life. Stop and smell the roses.
No, you're 100% right. My wife was talking to me yesterday. She said, because her mom's in town, as I mentioned, because, last time when we all went out, when my sister was here, you should have came with us. I was like, well, the kids were there? She goes, yeah. I said, our kids, all of them? She goes, yeah. I said, and I didn't go out? She goes, no. I said, was it a work day? She goes, no, it was Sunday. I'm like, man, you know what? That's horrible. You're right. I should have gone out. And I were, so I'm trying to,
at least you realize that it was something that you needed to.
Yeah, and I'm
not just let it go over your head.
No, I felt, and I'm getting like now my kids are grown, so they come over to the house. I stop what I'm doing and I enjoy them because I don't see them all the time. And like in the back of my mind, I don't think anything's going to happen. But like you said, I don't know what the clock is, how much So I know when they're here, put this shit down and go out and spend time with your kids.
Yeah. When I went through a divorce a long time ago, and my daughter was, around 6 or 7, I made sure that, I was there all the time for extra that time. And I was in school line. I'd zip from my session and get down that school line, pick her up, and we'd do stuff together. And it paid off. I can see, we have a good relationship, and she appreciates that. It's hard to go through that for kids, a divorce, and
You said she's 27 now?
Yeah.
So like mine are 20, my older one's 29 and 27. And it's only like in the last 5-6 years, like when they're out on their own, then they come and they're able to tell you, hey, Dad, I appreciate you for doing this or what you did back then. You found the same thing?
Oh, yeah.
And it's rewarding when you hear that.
That's the word, rewarding.
Oh, it's so, I mean, just any kind of like attaboy that you did it, you did something right. It just feels good, because you don't get that for 20 something years. It's like knocking your head against a wall,
Yeah. And it was a meaningful thing. It wasn't like, I better do this because it might help me later. I was just like, I really love my daughter. I want to be there for her now. And she really needs extra time now because, there's no way you can get through this kind of, a divorce thing and not be, affected by it.
Sure, man.
There's always going to be some trauma, no matter how well you do things and try to keep things going and the relationship going. It's just came natural to me. But anyway, yeah. So I mean, there's back on your question. It's just enjoying the simple things in life. The things that are important to you, the people you love, and that can breeze right by and you go, wow, why did I miss those opportunities, And it was a little bit of that. I mean, I was still in Nashville and at home and stuff like that. Even though I was here, I was just working all the time.
I get it, man. I totally get it.
Spent all my life in the studio. My family was, the guys like Eddie Bears and Michael Rhodes. I saw them more than my wife and kids,
Tough question, man. What do you like most about yourself?
That is a tough question.
It's very tough.
Well, I do have to say I like the sense of humor. I mean, I always have to put a sense of humor to things to me. I mean, I'm always, I remember when I was a kid, another thing that was important to me was goofing, comedy and having a sense of humor. I remember my brother the same way, we liked the same things. We would Well, like when Monty Python came out, the Holy Grail, we go, wow, look at this, check this out. This is the funniest thing I've ever seen. It just we all about comedians and who was on TV at the time and who was the best, who was the funniest. And so, I mean, anytime I can add some humor, some situational comedic things, I feel proud if I came up with a good antidote or something, that little comedy to it. So I always try to keep a sense of humor of things, sometimes too much. And sometimes I use it to alleviate an uncomfortable situation or something. Yeah. Humor gets me out of it if there's something a little heated or something.
Like the music business metaphor.
Yeah, right. Right. Or I've gotten out of some things in the studio like that where it was getting really heated and a little tense and stuff, and I'd say something funny and then everybody'd break into a laugh and it just stopped everything. It was like they're looking at me like, is Brent going to tear his head off now, or what? Is he going to just pack and leave? And then I'll say something funny.
Right.
And they'll go, oh, yeah, that's cool. That's funny. And then it just breaks the tension. But goes back to normal.
I would imagine you got to be a pretty good reader of character as well.
Well, yeah, I think so at this point. Yeah, I mean, I've seen all kinds of characters, and I'm pretty good. I've had a lot of experience with working with people.
Well, I mean, you couldn't have been so successful navigating through literally thousands and thousands of people unless you are. I mean, that's not random. Yeah. Usually,
you got to pick and choose your battles. And for the most part, it's good to. Maybe, I mean, there can be things where there's a little bit too abusive, and then you gotta, cut in and go, hey, listen, this is not cool, But for the most part, I'm pretty durable. I mean, I'm resistant to blowing up and then later going, why did I do that? I threw a guitar against a wall. No, I didn't do that. I'm saying if I would have done that, no, I'm not gonna throw any guitars against the wall. What do you got? Maybe a beer can or something. No, I mean, I just don't blow. I don't think there's been one incident where I really. There's a couple times where I wanted to choke somebody and I could have, and I just shrugged it off and blew it off. Like, again, it's not cool. It's one of those things where later you go, oh, I'm embarrassed. Why did I do that? That would have been the result of it.
Man, that's a funny story. I interviewed. I don't know if you know this guy, Reggie Hamilton, bass player.
No,
I played on mostly pop stuff, mostly in L.A. and New York. I asked him, I said, what was the low point? He goes, the low point for me professionally is when I grabbed someone by the throat in the studio. It made me think of that when you said, sometimes I wanted to choke somebody. He actually did it.
Yeah. Oh, there's been many times with producers I just want to go, hey, this guy doesn't even play an instrument and he's telling me what to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's got to be.
It's hard to, to just lose it right there.
No, I get it, man. Yeah, that's got to be tough when someone's criticizing you what you're doing when they don't even have a frame of reference as to what's going on.
Right,
like what's the notes in the chord even or something,
Yeah, or something like, you've been on the phone the whole time. How do you even know what it's like, it's usually arrogance that was brought in before he even knew he was playing. It was just a bad day for him or her or whatever it could be in general.
Yeah, I'm allergic to arrogance, so I understand. I feel you. No, I really am. That doesn't work really well with me.
Right.
Who's had the biggest influence on you, musically and personally?
Biggest influence on me? Well, of course, Jerry Reed, because that's where it started. I went through a whole process of learning Jerry Reed guitar from when I was 11 years old or 12. Dad introduced me to Jerry Reed album, Nashville Underground, and Dad played thumb style, finger style, which was like a Merle Travis style, and that's why I got the thumb finger style. And I remember even saying when I was like 11 or 12, I was talking about Jerry Reed. I said, is he playing? Is that just one guitar player? Because I knew there was like polyphonic two things at once, bass lines and melodies, and then I just went into a deep study of all that, so, and always Jerry Reed. So, I remember going out and saving up my money to buy Reed albums and stuff. So I was really into and there wasn't many people that was doing that in Ohio, another thing what you brought up, it kind of makes me stand out is a lot of guys start out playing Hendrix or Eric Clapton or something,
Yes.
or, you know, I didn't start out with that, although I play that stuff now, I know how to play it. I just didn't start out with that, you know. Started out as a country guitar player, you know, listening to Roy Nichols with Merle Haggard and Jerry Reed and Albert Lee and all that kind of stuff, you know. So,
you just said something I wanted to ask you about. Sorry, man, I'm having a brain for it. Something about you're entirely self-taught.
Yeah. I mean, the first actual study of a guitar that I got was actually through a book I picked up at a garage sale. It was Sal Salvador long finger guitar chords. And when I was a kid, I was already figuring out chords by grouping interesting harmonies together. You know, I say, we got 4 fingers right here, right? Okay, that's harmony. It's all about harmonies to me, it still is. And pretty soon I have a real complex chord figured out. And then when I got that Sal Salvador long finger guitar chord book at the garage show, I started looking at the tabs and stuff and the diagrams and stuff. I go, that's a chord I already figured out. That was pretty cool.
That is cool, man.
Figured out. I mean, it was just basically logical stuff. Like, this harmony note goes good with this. This is good. This is kind of an outside harmony. Whether it's a, you know, like a flat 5 or sharp 9, you know, I figured those out when I was a kid and made it because I've heard them before. And I go, oh, that sharp 9. Yeah, that's on so many rock records, you know, Hendrix. But the Jerry Reed stuff really broadened my dexterity on guitar, you know. So even when I play acoustic, I feel pretty fluid with it because, you know, I got a lot of chord knowledge and stuff from when I studied all that stuff. But it wasn't done academically.
But it's amazing.
It was phonetically and through a few books. And there was I had a jazz guitar teacher a little bit that showed me some stuff. And actually, I probably played better than him at that point. And it was like, you know, it was intimidating for him. I don't know.
But it's amazing, though, whereas most guitar players are like, hey, man, I want to play lead. You're playing right away. You're figuring out harmonies. And you're such a great lead player. That's interesting.
Yeah, the lead part didn't come right away. You know, that's when I joined. I joined my family band, and they were out playing, you know, stuff from, you know, like Merle Haggard songs, country hits, and stuff like that. And they do a little few pop songs or stuff like that. That's when I went into lead. My uncle played lead. He had a 335, looked just like the one you got back there.
Oh, that's cool.
And I always enjoyed this. He was playing like, you know, Creed's Clearwater stuff and, you know, and country stuff. And I watched him play lead, you know, so I learned how to do fills and, you know, how to comp behind somebody. The Reed things was just a solo stuff, performance kind of thing. This is, you know, I'm the whole band right here on the neck. Yeah, so the lead stuff I got picked up from my uncle, Terry. Excuse me.
Hey, Brent, 3 more questions, man. And first of all, thank you so much for your time and for everything, man. I've really enjoyed this, and especially that you're inherently shy. Thank you.
Yeah.
No, I know it's not easy when. Well,
no, I am, but like I said, I'm kind of comfortable like this because I've done over 400 or 500 Skypes already.
I feel so cheap. That's not even sloppy seconds. I'm like
guy.
Sloppy 500s.
Yeah.
Most important thing.
Skype skank.
You're Skype skank. Yeah, man. Most important thing. You're.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm wearing pants over here. Okay.
Yeah. Most important thing your dad and your mom taught you.
Nothing. No, I'm getting goofy. Just my dad was worked hard, and he, you know, he didn't make a lot of money. Like I said, he was a factory worker, but he worked hard when it was Christmas time, we always got something under the tree, both our brothers, you know, that we were excited about. He was really a family guy. You know, he wasn't one of those guys that, where'd my dad go? We don't see him for a week. He didn't, if he had any hang-ups or anything, I didn't really notice him. You know, some people have dark stories, you know, alcoholism or whatever. And they, you know, my dad did have a beer or two, but he never got violent.
Yeah.
I always felt love from him and very strong work ethic.
That's the most important thing, what you just said, man. I always felt love from him, man. That's where it's at. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he wasn't real, he was not demonstrative in a way that where he would hug you and kiss you or anything. But always, and he wasn't real verbal, like, I love you, son. You know, he didn't, but he showed it in a lot of, you know, like, you know, by things he would do for us, you know, only out of love.
Yeah, sure.
You know, he was always there for us. And I remember when I played football and freshman and a little bit in high school, but he was always there. And I felt like I just made a lot of mistakes. He didn't really care. He goes, hey, you look good out there. You know, just keep it up, but be careful. You know, it's like where some of those sports, I remember seeing the other kids, sports dads, you know, going, I didn't show you that. You get down there, you hit them hard. Hit them hard. You know, I'd see those kind of things. I thought, my dad wasn't like that. He goes, yeah, just have fun. Don't worry about it.
That's cool. Yeah, those people are mental with their kids with sports, man.
But they also they knew that I was gifted as a music person. So they you know, it was a musical family. And they knew that's probably, my mom too, really, that's one of the things she really worked hard. She knew I had to be in music, you know, I had this, I could have took a different route, you know what I mean? I was talking about the factory and just let it go. But she was like, you know, she helped. She goes, you got to be in Nashville. You know, she only knew Nashville because she was, you know, Loretta Lynn, Conway Twitty, all that. We watched Hee Haw and all these Nashville shows. So she didn't say, you need to go to L.A. or you need to go to New York. Yeah, she was thinking about.
Yeah. When you're in Van Wert, Van Wert? Yeah, Van Wert. You're not going to say
Grover Hill. I want to get that straight. Grover Hill, Ohio. Van Wert was the next biggest little.
Grover Hill. Okay, let's get this legit here.
Grover Hill, Ohio. Yeah.
When you're in Grover Hill, no one's going to say go to New York. It's just not going to happen, man. I'm sorry. You're going to say go to Nashville.
It's like go to Mars.
Yeah, right. No, seriously. I mean, you're going to say go to Nashville. It's safe. It's known. It's understandable, and it's relevant. So that's really cool, man. Toughest.
But they were real, you know, they knew that this was my gift and my love was music. So they really tried to steer me toward it without being, you know, abusive or anything.
Yeah.
But they really coached me, you know, kind of, even when I was, you know, married and, you know, I mean, for a while there, you know, I was talking, they knew that I should go to Nashville, you know, especially when, you know, they were extra, what am I want to say? Just compassionate about the music, and they knew I was too. So they would always like help me, inspire me to go. In other words, and I did.
That's literally the number one trait the successful musicians have in common. 99, almost 100%, probably 99% of the people that have. So even if there was dysfunction in the house, like alcoholism, drug, money, whatever, the parents were supportive. Very common. Yeah.
And it's hard, you know, because they played music, so they were in a nightlife, and it's, you know, a lot of things can go wrong in the nightlife, right?
Yeah, for sure.
You know, but I never saw that. If it happened, they were good at hiding it. Yeah. but I just felt it was a good family and a strong family, you know.
But you did this. It seems like you did the same thing.
Infidelity. What I was thinking, I was trying to think of the word, you know, can happen.
Yeah.
You know, and booze. You know, when you're out playing late at Saturday nights, you know, that could be a problem. Didn't see that.
Yeah.
But they, you know, they socially had drinks, but didn't appear to be any problems that I know of.
That's awesome.
So anyway.
Toughest decision you ever had to make, or most difficult thing you've ever had to do?
Oh, that would be I always go back to this factory thing. It was just like I had to make a decision to come to Nashville. You know, for some reason it was hard for me to do. I was kind of letting it slide, you know what I mean? And just when I broke from the factory, you know, when I got laid off, I just knew that I had to go. This was my window of opportunity. So that was the biggest thing. I have to go back on that, not to be, you know, repetitive and
no. You know what it seems like? This is one of those cases where, you know, like you said, you kept delaying it, and then it's almost like this was one of those, like a God thing, a destiny thing in a sense, you know, like, you kept avoiding it, but it finally forced you. You got laid off.
Right.
It's really funny, man, because I hear a lot of these stories like this where you're sort of things happen.
Stuck in a rut. Yeah.
Yeah, but things happen to sort of propel you to
towards out of the rut.
Yeah, towards your destiny. It's really
it's hard. You can feel. I mean, because when you turn 20, all of a sudden, like I say, you entered into this responsibility world. Now it's fun. You goofed off. Now what the hell are you gonna do? You're 20 now. Nobody's gonna feel sorry for you now when you screw up. They're just gonna throw you in jail or whatever, that worst case scenario.
It's
and it's hard to get out of your comfort zone too, even though it's not that comfortable.
Right.
And you're doing something you hate. It's just like you're stuck there, and somehow there's a rut there, and it's just you got to climb out, and it's hard. You look up and you go, it's scary out there.
Yeah.
But I think I see a good thing that I can do if I just get out of here first. When you get out there and do it, then you've climbed over that mountain, and you go, man, I'm so thankful I did that. What if I didn't do that? Oh God, I shuddered to think.
Sometimes it's you're more comfortable, better the devil known than the devil unknown kind of thing,
Yeah, good.
Last question. And man, again, I cannot thank you enough, man. Really, really thank you, man. See, you're I'm trying to thank you, and you're like, you're such the type A, man. This is quite funny. Even if you're like, no, let's go. Biggest change in your personality over the last 10 years, and how much of that has been intentional, and how much?
Let me look that up.
Right on, man.
Hey,
Go ahead.
Funny though. My wife wrote some notes down.
That's good, man.
I'm not looking at any of them.
Oh, you should, man.
And she.
You should look at them. Say, honey, thank you so much for the notes. It was so helpful.
Yeah, she wrote some. She knows me. We talked about it. But anyway, say the question again. I was kidding around there. The last one.
Biggest change in your personality over the last 10 years, and it is the last question. And how much of that has been intentional, and how much is just been a process?
Again, I'm gonna have to loop back around and say I was always a shy person, and the big change in my personality is just I've opened up a little bit, and it's because I've been able to get out and do guitar clinics, and talk to folks, and the Skype things, that I do. I've really excelled in, and communicating and talking to people, which I was always like, I was always quiet a little bit. And then when I got to know somebody, you couldn't shut me up. But it was just hard to break the ice at first. And I think I've, kind of like been more, more open in social events and different things. Sometimes you got to make speeches, you got to do this, and it's like, there's nothing more scary to me than making a speech in front of a bunch of people, and not that I have to do it a lot.
Sure.
But I just think it made me opened up a little bit more. And then when you do that, you see like people feel closer to you. Otherwise they can't read you. They don't know if you're an asshole or you're shy. There is a confusion sometimes. There was a steel player, Buddy Emmons. Buddy Emmons was a steel player, and he was I was an idol. He was my idol at one time. It was steel guitar. He was one of the people that I just admired so much. Buddy Emmons, who played a lot of jazz on steel, was an amazing player. And I worked with him, and he was real. And I remember saying, Buddy Emmons, don't even talk to him. He's. I said, no, I could see he was like, he's just real shy. He doesn't like to talk because I just didn't want to say something inappropriate or something, or just. So there is a confusion. You can see people, you don't know if they're arrogant or they're just shy, Yeah. It's because they're not speaking at all and they're not conveying anything to you, so you don't know. And some people just look like they're not, walk away from you, or walk, like you go into a store and then you see somebody and then you go around the other way. And you think he didn't see you, but that asshole saw me. He just walked right around, And then we all do that because there's somebody we don't, there's probably people you don't want to talk to anyway.
Absolutely, man, yeah.
But it's like, hey, I'm going to go up and say, hey, Bill, how you doing, man? I saw you over here. You're looking for, your wife got you out shopping, and you're looking, and then they go, hey, I saw Brent. He's so cool.
Yeah, right.
And, he's somebody you could have walked away because he just was too busy doing your little chores in the store there, and you just avoided somebody. And they were nice people. So I feel like, I've become more responsive to that and more, friendly and less shy.
Well, dude, I would say you're a super friendly guy, extremely easy to talk to, and I really enjoyed myself. And I really mean sincere thank you. It was really kind of you to spend all this time with me, man. Thanks very much.
Well, this has been a good one. I like this interview.
Good.
I'll go back and look at it, though, okay?
Let me tell you the story that Pete Anderson told me.
Right now, but I'm not going to watch myself. Sorry.
Pete Anderson, I interviewed Pete, and I sit down, and he goes, and the third question, and he goes, well, Craig, I just want you to know I've never been asked any three of these questions, and I will tell you a story. He goes, I told my wife last night I'm never doing a fucking interview ever again. I'm sick of it because everybody comes on and they ask me the same questions. And he goes, you've renewed my hope in interviews.
Yeah.
Just like that. I said, oh, okay, Pete.
You did have some good, some in-depth questions are cool, more philosophical.
Well, man, thank you.
It's good, because you get tired. What's the pickups? What do you gravitate towards for pickups?
Man,
come on.
I want to learn something.
I'm not a technical guy. I mean, I just give my guitar to Joe and say, make this thing sound good.
Yeah,
I'll see you Wednesday.
Well, thank you for everything. Any final words of wisdom or anything you want to promote? How do people get a hold of you for Skype? Let's promote Brent Mason.
Yeah, well, just my BrentMason.com and theBrentMason.com, and then Facebook, my site, my
your Facebook page.
Yeah, Facebook page. It's all the you get directed through that. There's a link to me, and then it comes to my email, and then when I get it, we'll set stuff up. So it's just through those social media sites.
Very cool. Is there like a certain kind of student that you prefer or not? Like, do you take beginners, or do you prefer only people that are intermediate? What works best for you?
Not beginners so much. Not beginners. I don't do that.
Yeah.
Professionals, intermediate players,
Great.
And Skype is pretty I mean, I do some some well-known people too, rock players and stuff, I don't even mention any names, but I do. And but I see some kids come on, and they're like 17-year-old, and they're playing everything I know already. I'm going, what am I going to tell this kid? He seems to. He goes, I got this from you. I said, can you show it back to me? No, I'm thinking no, but I'm just saying, you see this major talent that's being produced right now with young kids, and I guess it's just due to technology and everything's at your fingertips now with the internet and stuff. Amazing players,
Yeah. Well,
but I do find a lot of rock, metal rockers and stuff. They're interested in chicken picking.
They are. No, they are, man.
Telly playing, because there's a lot of tricks and stuff in telly playing. They seem to be obsessed with that.
Do you know Justin Derrico? Has he ever taken lessons with you?
Yeah, I think I gave him a lesson.
Yeah, he's really a big fan of yours. I had him on the show quite a while back. Yeah. He's a big fan of
yours.
And
I'll tell you, somebody else like Chris Shiflett, plays the Foo Fighters.
Yeah, sure.
He's all into Bakersfield. I mean, that's all if it was up to him, he'd just wear a hat and cowboy boots and play Bakersfield telly, and he's a great player.
Yeah.
So, I've gave him a couple of lessons, and he's, there's no secret there. He's said that to other people himself, but it's cool. And so I get all kinds of guys. Some guys are just, lawyers or something, and they're pretty good guitar players, but it just, unless they don't know a G or a C, I probably, I'll probably, refer them to something else.
Sure.
I say, I think we can look up YouTube and, on YouTube, and you find how to play, chord progressions or pentatonic scales or something.
Anything else we can promote?
No, I don't, not that I know of.
Well, man, when your next record comes out, if you want to come on here and we'll promote that, I'd be thrilled. We'll do a short show to promote that. I'd love to turn it on to everybody, man.
I can always say, I don't know when this is going on, but there's guitar clinics coming up. The next thing I'm doing is I'm going out with Richard Smith, amazing guitar player.
The guy who plays with Mark Knopfler.
No, not Richard.
No,
Smith.
I mean Richard. I mean Tommy Emmanuel.
Yeah.
Tommy Emmanuel.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the guy. I know who that guy is. When are you going out with him, and where?
Well, I'm going to California, up around Orange County and Dana Point up there, that area. I'm going to do some guitar clinics up there. You could probably check that on Richard's. I don't even know if I have it up. I'm going to put it up. Well, Tommy Emmanuel, I'm doing that after Christmas. So that's a big thing in West Maui. The Tommy Emmanuel camp. I mean, it's filling up, I think, but it's, it's a nice place to be. For a guitar, right? Wouldn't you say? West Maui?
I would say.
It's going through New Year's. So, we'll have, there'll be like a luau and fun and everybody's playing together and stuff. It's going to be a fun thing. And I think it starts December 28th or 9th or something like that.
All right. So guitar clinics, Richard Smith, Tommy Emmanuel's camp in Maui at the end of the year. What else? Anything else?
No, not. There's stuff I'm planning, but it's not all been, in stone yet. But stuff coming up in March and maybe something in Dallas. But I haven't got the information for you on that. Just kind of check out my,
check
Facebook
out,
page, thebrentmason.com.
thebrentmason.com. And then if you want lessons, contact Brent on his webpage too. Intermediate,
yeah, I'll link
professional.
there that goes to my email.
Awesome. Dude, hang on one second. Thank you for everything, man. I really appreciate it.
Oh, well, I enjoyed it,
man.
Craig.
Thank you very much. Everybody, thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this, please share this interview on your social media channels and with your friends. Big thanks to Brent Mason for all his time and being such a cool guy and opening up and being so sweet and sincere. If you're interested in taking lessons, check out thebrentmason.com and connect with him. He's got clinics coming up with Richard Smith. He's got Tommy Emmanuel's year-end soiree where a bunch of really good guitar players get together. You can check that out online as well. And that's it. Make sure you go to everyonelovesguitar.com, enter your email, sign up so we can connect. And most important, remember that happiness is a choice, so choose wisely. Be nice, go play a guitar, and right on, all right? And have fun.
Right on.
Till next time, peace and love, everybody. Brent, thank you for everything, brother.
Enjoyed it, Craig. Take care, bro.
Hey, man, was this good? You were good with everything?
Yeah.
Thank you, man. So. Thank you so much. Anything was it? Go ahead.
It was all a blur, but I felt good about it.
It was all a blur, but I feel better now.
Well, something we were talking about prostate surgery.
No, I'm editing that out.
I was kidding. I didn't see anything about prostate.
I forgot that question. Sorry, man. It slipped my mind. No,
but I was able to chime. I did have some.
Even there, you're able to chime
there.
in, man. Man doesn't know boundaries. Hey, this is actually going to drop next week because I've been planning this, so I'll send you links when it drops. One quick question for you, man. If you could help me with something, could you maybe turn me on to some of your buddies that I could invite on the show that I haven't had on yet? If you feel comfortable. If not, no worries.
Like who is there any people in mind, Nashville people in mind, or just?
Yeah, I mean, like
shooting for.
Man, I'd love to have Vince on the show. I'd love to have Brad and Tommy if he's around. No, he's hard.
Tommy, I don't.
If it's not awkward.
I'll see Vince. Yeah, I can mention it to him. I don't know what they get. They got a lot of things going on. Some of them, might not be into doing these things.
Yeah, and that's cool. That's cool. It's not everybody wants.
Tommy probably would.
I've had a lot of.
But I know Tommy's taking a little break right now. I think that guy works so hard.
Oh, I know.
I think he needs a couple of months off, and maybe he's taking them off. But he hits it hard. But yeah, let me think about that. I might think of somebody. I'll see if I can help you out there.
Yeah, that would be real cool if you could do that. Thank you, man. And like Brad, and like the thing is with Vince, he's got a PR person. I don't deal with them, man. I just don't.
Yeah, it's hard. You got to get through the layers to get to him first.
They waste so much of your time. It's almost like they get paid to waste time, and I just have no patience for it, man. I would rather someone tell me to, fuck off, to be honest with you, than just. No, seriously, because it's fine.
No, I know what you mean. I was
you don't have to like me. You don't have to like what I do, but don't waste my time, man. It's just like you can make money. You can't make time. That's my thoughts anyway. But yeah, man, if you could think of someone, that'd be great. I appreciate it.
Okay. Let me
And thanks for anything.
The gears turning there.
Yeah, man. And if, like I said, when your new record comes out, if you want to come on and promote it, man, I'm really happy to do that. And I got a good size audience.
I definitely will.
You'll get a ton of people listening to it if you come on, because I've got a really good size audience. It's growing.
Yeah.
regularly?
It is growing. You know, I see the potential there, and it's, you know, you got a good thing going. It's well done too.
Thank you, man. So, I appreciate it. Yeah, we're getting advertisers now, and that's where most of my time is spent, right? You know, outside of the interviews, I've spent time right now, and I got a merch store opening like in a week or so. So, you know, all the wheels in motion. So, hey, man, let me know how I could help you anytime, Brent. And thank you so much for everything.
All right, Craig.
Take
Enjoyed
care.
it.
Be good. Thank you,
bro.
sir. Bye-bye.
Bye.